3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Bad Movies Rule, the worst movie podcast ever recorded. And today, we're going to jump on our post-apocalyptic but still fully functioning jet skis and make for dry land. Let's go. You know, I was going to start with the dry land is not a myth. I've seen it, but then I found out that's not actually in the movie.
No, it's not.
No. Yeah, that was like a Cable Guy.
Right, but then everyone, because Jim Carrey said it in Cable Guy, everyone thinks that's a line from this movie, and it never is.
Not. He says something similar, but he doesn't say that.
Not specifically, no.
It is amazing. Those jet skis did make it post-apocalyptic because most don't make it through the summer.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of questions.
That's what I'm saying.
What made it through the post-apocalypse and what didn't?
Right. Well, look, guys, I'm excited today because Waterworld is it's one of those movies we had circled from the very beginning, and now we're here to discuss it. And so I thought I'd bring in some of my Costner crew, and that means that Charles Hewitt is here with us this morning.
Here with you.
That's right. Props and everything.
Got props.
You never let me down, brother.
I never let you down.
This is much nicer than any boat they had in the movie, though.
Yeah. I was just thinking I should have spray painted it gray or black before I brought it in.
Right, and the sail should be made out of 17 different napkins or something.
This is not to give anything away, but this is 20 years post dry land.
Oh, got it. Okay, they're coming back.
They're coming back.
We're on our way.
They've got a company called Boats and Boats.
There you go. And also,
capitalism comes back to you.
It's the first thing that comes back.
Well, I don't know if it ever died. Actually, they did have to barter for stuff.
Also coming back from the Postman is Mr. Ryan Mueller.
Right,
How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Doing well, yeah. I took my second viewing of this movie last night, so we'll see.
Okay.
But,
I'm excited to hear if you guys like this as much as the Postman, because it's, just a couple years before, and it's, I think, very similar. So we'll see.
Similar.
Well, we'll get into it. But also, now, Bob has not been with us on a couple of the Costner movies that we did. We did 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Yeah.
You were there for that.
I was there on the phone, for that one.
On the phone. But you missed Postman.
I did.
But there was no way you were going to miss Waterworld.
No.
Bob, my first question, because I know how much you love this movie.
You and I saw this movie in 1995 at the Antioch Theater.
I know we did.
Yes.
And then you saw it about 1 million more times in my house.
Absolutely.
Which caused me, along with Wild Wild West and 3,000 Miles to Graceland, to hate the movie because it was on every day.
I've never seen The Graceland, but I like Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West is great. And he left me off the episode.
Question. Why are you naked in here?
It's Waterworld, man.
Now, you guys are watching on YouTube, can't see, but he does have shorts on, okay? But this table makes it look like you're totally, other than your hat.
Yeah. I'm here to melt everyone's polar ice caps.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm ready. I am ready.
Well, so are we. And I hope the audience at home is ready, guys. And we appreciate that you're here and you're listening. If you guys could do us a huge favor, take a moment, pause the podcast, and then whatever app you're using to listen on, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict or any of them out there, most of them allow for some kind of reviewer rating, and the more reviews and the more ratings that we get, especially high rating, 5-star ratings, if you're so inclined, will really help us get pushed out to more people. So that'd be a big help to the podcast as we continue to grow. We'd really appreciate your help there. Now, if you hate the podcast, we are one of the worst movie podcasts of all time. We'll make at least 47 mistakes today in this episode alone. You can give us a 1-star review, but just maybe don't put that on the app, but instead send us an email with that 1-star review. You can trash us all you want. We want to read that on the show. So if you have something like that to say, send it to thisshowIstrash@gmail.com, and we will be thrilled to receive your 1-star review.
Don't forget my hate mail.
Yes, and Bob is always ready and available for more hate mail. So if you've got, I don't know how we'll ever top the hate mail from last time, but if you want to give it a shot.
I hope Turkish Silver's watching right now so he can see what he's missing.
I hope he is now too, because this is
you might convert him with that.
Yeah, what's up?
That's right. All right, Macho Man Randy Savage is also live in the studio. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Great to be here. Thank you for allowing me to come on the show, and I really enjoyed Waterworld. I was the guy that, rubbed the baby oil all over Costner.
How's Elvis? Have you seen him lately?
Brother, he's still dead.
Okay, all right, perfect.
He would have made a better sidekick than that blonde guy in the movie.
Oh, yeah, 100.
Right.
Absolutely.
100.
I feel like that guy was going for the wrestler vibe. But failed miserably.
All right, well, let's get into some of the vitals. We'll get, you guys the details on this movie, and then we'll dive in because I can feel the energy in the room. Y'all are chomping at the bit to dive onto this movie. So let's get through this. It was directed by Ryan. I almost said Ryan Reynolds.
No.
How dare
Different
That's a
Reynolds.
very different
This is his
experience.
cousin.
Yes, his cousin.
Twice removed.
Ryan Reynolds' cousin. Kevin Reynolds was the director of Waterworld, and maybe Kevin Costner kind of too.
Yeah, there's some confusion on that. I
little
thought
bit.
maybe it is Ryan Reynolds, but Ryan didn't want his first name, so it was Kevin Costner Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds mashup.
Apparently Kevin Reynolds had directed Prince of Thieves with Costner.
Yeah.
And they had a big falling out. By the time they were done making that movie, Kevin was like, I'm never working with Costner ever again.
It wasn't the quote, the best way for Kevin to make a movie is to act in it because he's his favorite star.
Yes. He said he should only act in movies he directs.
Yeah.
In fact, this is why at one point, and now we're about to tell you guys that it was written by Pete Rader and David Twohy. But they also brought Josh Whedon in for 7 weeks at the end of it to punch up the script. And Josh actually said that he spent most of his time just trying to incorporate Costner's ideas into the script because Costner was mad that no one was listening to any of his ideas. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, he had been a director himself. He had directed Dances with Wolves. Did he direct Wyatt Earp?
Yes, I believe. Actually, I don't know. He made it.
Kasdan? Did Kasdan do it?
Yeah, sorry, Kasdan probably.
That's right. But he'd already been a big, successful director, and so I'm sure his opinion was readily available and given at all turns while they were making this movie, and it wasn't being integrated to his satisfaction. And so allegedly at one point Kevin walked, and Costner was left to finish directing the movie. I don't know if it's true. No one can confirm it, but that's what they say. So directed by Kevin Reynolds and maybe Costner also, but we'll see.
And they also wanted a 3-hour version, but they made him cut it down to 135.
Yeah. Or was it
216?
216. 216. Maybe 135 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Movie starred Kevin Costner and Jeannie Triplehorn and Dennis Hopper and Tina Majorino, who is from your favorite movie.
She's Deb in Napoleon Dynamite.
That's right. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, you're going to know who this is
This
immediately.
movie had a few of those guys in
That's
them.
the little girl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the little girl.
Okay.
She's the one going door to door when Napoleon meets her, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we normally give the budget and box office, and I know this was a notorious bomb at the time. It was a $175 million budget in 1994. $175 million.
Most expensive movie ever made to that point.
Until Titanic.
Yeah, until James Cameron.
And I would
came along.
argue this is better than Titanic.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Hold on
I
a second.
agree.
Let's go.
This money was more well spent than Titanic.
That's a take.
Just move over so we can get on the log with you. You'll both
You know what? You can
survive.
actually watch You can actually make a trilogy out of this. You
Yes.
can watch Titanic first.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you can watch Waterworld, and then you can watch Aquaman.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then it's like the perfect, you're right.
And then Deep Blue Sea to finish it off.
That is what I like. I want people to come in here and have a take, and that is a take. Better than Titanic.
Titanic's a terrible movie if you go back and watch it.
It is.
Right. But if you watch it in reverse, it's like a
wait.
cool submarine.
There's not enough drama in a ship sinking. Let's add people romance and shooting.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
yeah.
I understand that.
Sorry,
She
this
let him
isn't about
drown.
Titanic.
She kicked him off the
She
door.
did. She
So the
could've- there was
movie-
totally room on that door.
She kicked him off the door.
No, you're right. You're right. The movie Waterworld grossed at the time $264 million. Okay, which is more than the budget, but they only keep 55% of that. The other 45% goes to the theaters. Okay, so they came in under budget. But even though this is famous for being a bomb, as of 2013, the film has been profitable.
Yeah, like $8 million.
Yeah, well, but
But
still,
hey, it's pretty good.
it's not. It hasn't lost money.
Worldwide.
It just took a while.
Took a while.
But the press had it out for this movie.
I just gave him a little bit more
That's right.
because I just bought it.
We all probably just contributed about $22.
$11.99 on Voodoo.
Oh, there you
got
go.
a discount.
All right, awesome.
How'd you get a discount?
Original DVD.
I would have.
You probably still have the DVD.
I do,
that you had
the
to
original DVD.
Dust off from 1997, whenever it was
Absolutely.
that came out on DVD.
The Universal Classic Collection.
As it sits right now, it's got a 6.2 on IMDb,
That's a shame.
which is in that borderline, like in from 6 to 6.5. It's like
Still higher than Air America.
a judgment. Do you know what went down? So when we did Air America, it was 5.9. It's now a 5.8.
Hey, bad movies rule having an impact.
That's right.
You guys heard Air America? I love Air America.
It's hard to move the needle on IMDb.
I think IMDb's gone. This movie, I think, has gone up over the years.
It was
Probably.
because it actually started at like a low. It was in like in the 5.2 range.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it has gone up.
Okay.
Well, good. And 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is, 60% is fresh. So it's
What's the audience?
43% actually. It's
That
pretty
surprises
close.
me, though.
Pretty
I would
close.
have thought the audience would like this more than
Yeah.
critics. I
I
think
would have
48
said.
Audience doesn't have a vision.
no.
So that's where it stands right now. And what we want to do here with this, and some people might say, well, this is like Bob, if it was you, you'd say this should never be on a podcast that says bad movies in the title. And other people think, oh, this is a legendary bomb. And I think what we want to try and figure out today is once and for all, does Waterworld belong on that list? Is it actually a terrible movie? Is it really bad? And so I'd like to your overall impression. I know you're going to say, I don't want to know exactly what you're going to say, but I know you're going to be positive about it. So
Yes, absolutely.
what's your general, why is it you love this movie so much?
It's Mad Max on the water. It's a good.
true.
It's a good post-apocalyptic film.
Okay.
There are elements of a great story in there. And Dennis Hopper and Kevin Costner absolutely killed it as the hero and villain. And the ending, I mean, you can say what you want about the beginning of the film, but the ending actually is probably one of the coolest one-man army action sequences in the 90s.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Charles, when was the first time you saw it when it came out?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. I went with my mother,
Okay.
and they had these big theaters in Southern California called, I don't know what they were called, but they were these giant circular domes,
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and they sat like 1,000 people. And it wasn't like round screen.
Like Cinerama.
Well, it wasn't quite Cinerama. It was just a
Okay.
huge screen, these
Yeah.
big domes, right? So my mom used to take me to lots of movies,
Awesome.
including things like Killing Fields when I was like 6.
Oh, my gosh.
Uncommon Valor. Yeah, I still have traumatic experiences of Killing Fields. Like
Killing Fields is-
see, I thought
I can-
my mom showed me Halloween when I was 8 years old, and it still
Killing Fields,
terrifies
I
me.
still can picture the bone pit.
I was traumatized by that movie, and I was in my 30s when I saw
I
it.
was a little, like my mom loves movies, but my dad just loves my mom, so he goes with her. And so when I was a little
Okay.
kid, I was like much younger than my siblings, so I got dragged to movies.
Nice.
But this would have been 95.
Yeah.
I think I graduated high school in 95.
Right. So you were
So
probably
I was,
old enough.
I was old. Oh, I was old enough.
Yeah. But you liked it
Anyways,
ever
we went
since
and saw
then.
it, and I liked it ever since then. I've liked it ever since then, and every time I've seen it, I've liked it.
Does it increases every time?
I don't know, increases, but it's the same.
But it's never
never
something you
been
go
like-
back to and you go, oh, this doesn't really
I
hold up.
always enjoy and have fun watching this movie.
Okay. Fair enough.
So if you ask me a question here, I think it's just a fun, good movie.
Okay.
Given all post-apocalyptic movies have major problems of like, how did we end up here? This one maybe has a few more of those than others.
Okay.
Like, how do cigarettes survive for however many years on water planet?
Oh, God.
That's
right.
pretty
When
tough.
paper is like non-existent.
So
Right.
that's a huge question. Like that one's like top of my list on how exactly does this work?
Yeah. Well, that's okay. And you know what? Even though we I think a lot of us like this movie, and sometimes we'll release clips and things like that, and they'll go, we'll get on it. I think we hate it because we're making fun of it. We're going to take the piss essentially out of almost every movie we talk about, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we can have those questions and still like the movie.
I just
Absolutely.
think it's a lot of fun. It's a fun movie. Like I
Yeah.
don't need all my movies. My biggest complaint with movies today, especially action movies, are they have to be like serious drama action.
I know,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
And Waterworld is fun action with a decent, heartwarming story. You have an actual character arc. You have a character arc. It's got pretty entertaining scenes.
Okay.
Might be a little far.
They also spent a ton of money on it to make a
They did.
true immersive world, which is
They
pretty
did.
cool, too. Which is why I also like
There's heart in there.
Oh, I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with
I
that.
I think maybe I have a few more problems than you guys do, but I don't disagree. Ryan, what's your history with this
There's
movie?
certainly, there is some heartwarming stuff in there, but mine, I saw it. I think I was probably late teenager. I think I was probably 16 when it came out, and didn't see it in the theaters, but saw it shortly after it came out on whatever VHS or TV, whatever. I remember back then I liked it. I kind of liked it. It's an interesting story. Kind of like I said, good, some good action sequences. I think Costner and Hopper were excellent in it. Hadn't seen it for 20 some years since then, right?
Yeah.
For me, it still held up. I thought it was still kind of a fun movie. It's a, first thing, it's like, okay, Mad Max-ish, right? My son walks in a room where he goes, "What is this, Mad Max on the water?" Yeah, basically, yeah. But the Mad Max types are just dumber. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of
Mad
fun.
Max people are pretty stupid. Like maybe not the original movie, but the remake. I don't know what's going on with those people.
Yeah, I'm talking about the original movie.
Spraying chrome on their teeth.
The remakes never. I don't know why they bother remaking stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of fun. It's a lot of questions, right?
Sure.
Yes,
Tons of questions.
Tons.
How's this happen? But I'd say I still kind of like it. Like, it didn't have to, like, Postman. As I watched it the second time, started to grow on me. First time I'm like, whatever. This one I didn't have that secondary. Okay, it's starting to grow on me. I still kind of liked it and was what I remembered.
All right, awesome. I think I still like The Postman slightly more, but I also, like you, Ryan, had come back after a many, many year hiatus because of Bob. And it was on the blacklist for me. Of course.
So is Escape from LA.
So is Escape from LA. And all the other ones you had on heavy rotation.
I had Big Trouble in Little China on heavy rotation.
But nothing can ever ruin that movie for me. So, that was already cemented.
If you want a no voice on that one, I'll come for you.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Here's what I'll say about the movie. They picked the right director. I think Kevin Reynolds can do epic scale really well.
What else did he do? Do you know?
Prince of Thieves.
The greatest medieval times movie ever made.
Counts of Monte Cristo with James Caviezel was also
another
classic. Another classic.
Okay, so he does do big movies.
Yeah, and
Big awesome movies.
he shot the hell out of this movie. I thought what I liked, and you kind of mentioned it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the shots were fantastic.
Yeah, everything is practical. He built it.
Yes.
Right? Which they don't they just don't do it anymore. I know we're gonna sound like old people. Well, in my day they actually built the sets.
That
but,
first atoll is huge,
But you could totally-
too. It's like 3/4 of a mile big or something.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Massive.
Now
You can totally tell nowadays that everything's CGI.
Oh yeah.
yeah, well, they do it. I mean, and here's the thing. There is the downside of going practical. They had to build that thing twice, which doubled the budget because a hurricane ruined it. They took them 3 months to build the thing.
I also read,
Every day they had to tow it out.
I think I also read that they had another part of the story they had to get rid of completely because the set was so destroyed.
Right.
They couldn't afford to redo it.
Exactly. And how much gas and manpower to just to haul that thing out to where they're going to shoot every day.
Well,
So
apparently there's lots of gas left over after.
Yeah,
That shouldn't be a problem back in the 90s.
the expenses of doing it practically are legitimate.
Yep.
But it makes for such an awesome end product.
Right.
When you know it's actual dudes jumping real jet skis over actual metal walls.
Didn't they do a Universal Studios live
Yes, I've
action
seen
show?
it.
Yeah.
Times. It's
It was awesome.
It's a great
I've never
show.
seen it. Is it still around? Or
Yeah,
is
the
it,
5 parks. It's still there.
There
they
you
still
go.
have the
It's worth
Waterworld
seeing.
show?
Yeah.
Go
You guys
get in a
go,
car
man.
right now or get on your it's not catamaran, it's a trimaran.
Thought it was a catamaran.
Get down there. No, there's 3 of them.
You
There's
might
3
want to just
boats.
put the trimaran on a truck, though, because it's a long ways on the Well, I guess if you go over the lakes and all around, you
I'll do this all shirtless.
My issues, and I do appreciate Costner's, however difficult he may have been at this point in his career to deal with, because this would probably peak Costner,
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right?
Because he just did Prince of Thieves. He did Dances with
Wolves.
JFK.
Wyatt Earp, this post, so maybe he was just over the apex, right? But I'm just saying, like, at his ego at this level, maybe he was very difficult to deal with. But what's great about him is he's always super committed. I mean, he spent almost 170 days on set. The man works like a dog when he makes these movies.
$22 million of his own money.
$22 million of his own money. When he made Open Range, he fully funded that himself
That's
too.
a good movie. I like
And he
Open Range.
did the whole movie with a burst appendix and could have died, but he just didn't want to. He was intense pain the whole time. I mean, the guy I love
He was
him.
going through a major divorce on this one, apparently.
Right. Which might have added to his surliness.
That's what,
Yeah.
But it worked for him.
But it worked. But anyway, so I guess my issues, and that's why I've kind of been going, as some of you have been praising Dennis Hopper is my issue, I think, with this movie.
What?
Dennis Hopper is
Dennis Hopper.
awesome.
Yeah.
The best.
50, he was 58 years old when he did this movie.
Look,
He was amazing in this movie.
How?
I think Dennis Hopper
He plays this perfect.
thinks he's in a different movie than Kevin Costner thinks he is.
That's okay.
Costner is playing this thing as serious as a car accident,
Steven Hopper's not.
and Hopper's not. Hopper thinks he's in Street Fighter.
But
He's going with the Raul Julia
listen, though.
Bison
Yes,
approach.
that's what it works.
But the problem is
Yeah, I
that's
think
not.
so.
But the rest of the movie doesn't know that that's what's happening.
yeah, but
Whereas
they
Street Fighter, everybody knew.
They worship the captain of the Exxon Valdez.
Yeah.
They smoke and drink way too much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You need a guy that's a little bit unhinged.
I understand that, and it's not necessarily his
He
fault.
knows he's unhinged.
He's doing what he thinks the movie needs for him to do.
Well,
he's not bad. He's not a bad actor, but Costner. It just I put on here. I put muddled tone because there's like the Costner half of the movie, which is just a totally different tone wise
You might be
to
on that.
the smokers when you were focusing on the smokers. That's my only issue with the
But is
script.
that his fault or the director's fault of not?
No, it's probably at a script level,
consistency?
and maybe Kevin a little bit, but this probably happened at the script level, because you got things like, Kevin is doing this, and I thought he gave a pretty good performance in this, where everything's really serious and the action is really serious,
He convinces me he's a fish man.
and then it cuts to. And they're leaving the first battle, and it cuts to Dennis Hopper, and he does like a Steve Martin impression. Well, excuse me, I didn't say anybody could leave, and I'm just like, this just doesn't. It took me right out of the the movie because it just was like he was coming from a different movie.
He
basically.
had the best lines in the movie, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Can someone tell me why that man's still firing? What's his
Yeah.
cousin's name? Chuck.
That's right. What is
Chuck. I don't think he goes by Chuck.
Maybe
Call him
doesn't go by
Charles.
Charles.
Adios,
That is
cousins.
one of the best
That's right.
lines ever.
Well, it's because your name is Charles. That's why you like that line.
No, I love the old guy next to him. He just yells.
How's my eye
There's no
look?
radios. Hey,
Whatever.
Chuck. Maybe he doesn't go by Chuck.
All right. We're going to just call you Chuck for the rest of the
No, don't do
episode.
that. I hate that name.
All right. Well, what do you say we jump into this movie and start talking about it? And I guess we can't really start anywhere without discussing the whole central thrust behind this is this idea that the polar ice caps have melted and covered the world in water. That's the premise of the entire movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was cool how they zoom in on the
Yeah, that was
Universal
cool.
logo
That was cool.
and basically set it up right there. But there's no way that there's enough water in those polar ice caps to cover the entire planet in water.
No.
I'm not a scientist, and I didn't sleep in the Holiday Inn Express, so I don't know.
I could not answer that officially.
But I
No,
did read,
because you do all the models. They say what'll cover, what'll get
Right.
flooded out. Supposedly is all the low-lying areas. So everything on the coast, once you get
Yeah.
inland, there's
Right.
again,
land available.
all
Sure.
of these post-apocalyptic movies have issues with how we got there.
Yeah.
So we all have to just accept that for the purpose of telling this story,
Well-
we're going to let that go. Because really you're talking about, from what I could research, 200 to 300 feet is what the oceans would rise. And so it would certainly wash out some areas.
Certainly not to, if you read like the extended cut information, that was supposed to be Mount
Mount Everest.
Everest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's really high. So
Right.
I'm guessing no, probably not that high.
Right.
So that's what Dryland was supposed to be.
That's
was,
what
was
Dryland
Was Mount
Mount
Everest,
Everest,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and in the Ulysses cut, which I guess we can bring up now, there's an extended cut of the movie that's another 40 minutes long.
yes, it focuses a lot on the smoker's religion,
Yeah.
kind of like the Prince of Thieves cut, the extended cut, when it focused a lot on the Sheriff of Nottingham's cult.
Right. And in that, they make it explicit that it's Mount Everest because they find a plaque.
Plaque.
Yeah, that says.
Found the Sir Hilary's plaque.
Right, exactly.
Is there an actual plaque? I don't
Of the people that first set foot on Mount Everest.
Awesome. I didn't
so-
know
know.
that.
Now they find a lot
Yes.
of dead bodies because it's sad how many people die up there and they have to leave them.
And so we've just spoiled the movie for everyone listening that they find dry land in Mount Everest at the end.
Well, it's been 20, 30.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, that's your fault.
Okay.
Just put a spoiler alert at the beginning.
The big thing about this is Mount Everest is now much shorter, but still the tallest mountain in the
And
world.
it's very tropical now.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
But yeah, so essentially that's the premise, guys, is that the water has flooded the world because the polar ice caps melted, and now everything is floating. Everybody that exists is on top of the water, whereas the world that was is now underneath. And from what we were told by the people who made the film, it's supposedly around the year 2500.
The other thing I did read, which was interesting,
Yeah.
is that there was a cut or there was an idea to have a second moon.
Oh.
And so there was some thought that some cataclysmic event had occurred as well that allowed the water to rise so much.
So that was more of a gravity thing
Gravity thing.
as opposed to
So
the polar ice
maybe
caps.
like a asteroid with a lot of water hit the Earth, and I don't know how that would work, but something
geez.
happened where the water level rose because of some cataclysmic event.
So did you just have a scene where Kevin Costner's out there chilling on his trimaran and looks up and all of a sudden there's
Yeah,
two
there's
moons?
or something, which
Okay.
might have helped with the
Yeah, I don't know.
water issue. But then most of us can just go, whatever, water goes.
It worked.
I'll tell you what, guys. I think you know a movie's going to be good when the first shot of the movie is the main character taking a piss.
It's a great idea.
I thought that too. Watching it
was
again this
awesome.
time.
What a way to start.
In a plastic recyclable bottle, he's just the plastic. That's the
Right.
other thing. The Mariner's very eco-conscious, whereas the smokers like to throw a lot of their trash out.
No.
Yeah.
There was a lot of trash on the Valdez.
Yeah. In fact, they had to have a plow to get through all the trash.
It was just raining trash every scene that we were there.
And I love how
Spam
they can have
cans.
oil, but no
right.
tires on the car.
Yeah.
So he's basically drinking his own urine. This is how we are introduced to Kevin Costner's character.
Well, it's processed.
He processes it.
Processes.
Yeah, I don't want
To be fair.
I want to be fair, but I could have done without the Pepsi commercial at the end of it, right? Like, I mean, it's cool what you're doing,
Pepsi.
but he's just like enjoying it a little too much, right?
One other thing I think they should have had a little more fresh water, because I'm not convinced all these people could have lived on the amount of water they were actually drinking.
Oh, yeah, that's another good point.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think that we have a character say, "Well, I said I wouldn't drink for 12 days or whatever," and I'm like,
she
"Well,
would
you're
know that's
dead."
not possible.
Yeah, right.
And then
Yeah.
and apparently drinking pure water will make you an alcoholic. Or
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You love to skip ahead today. This is like the
I'm
sixth
sorry.
time.
I'll try
No, that's all right. Well, no, let's just get into it because I have a question about this stuff called hydro, which is supposedly purified water, at least from what I could find.
yeah,
So how are there water drunks?
I don't know.
Because this dude's
It's a good question.
like jonesing for some hydro, and I'm like, maybe there's something in it. I don't. But then I couldn't.
I do drive by these oxygen bars every once in a while, and I'm usually confused. So perhaps it's something like that,
Yeah.
where you can drink pure water versus oxygen and air mixed.
Maybe
with
they're just
other
delirious from not having enough water.
I gotta get that. Give me some of the hydro, man.
that hydro.
gases. And I didn't see any rain collecting apparatus.
That's another great point. You'd think they'd be covered in rain collecting
Unless it
apparatus.
doesn't rain much on Waterworld, which I suppose if there's a lot of water I don't know how that works.
I don't know. I'm not a weather scientist.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's always sunny. You would figure
I don't know.
that it would be evaporating constantly, a globe full of water,
Yeah,
and it'd be raining all the time.
That's right. You'd imagine. And I do appreciate that Kevin Costner says the name of the movie in the first 2 minutes also when the first drifter meets him there. He says, what does he say?
something like, there's nothing in Waterworld.
Yeah, there's nothing like that, or something.
Nothing's free in Waterworld.
Nothing's free in
that's it.
Waterworld. That's
Nothing's
right.
free in Waterworld.
After the guy ripped off his lemons.
Right. And I'm like, if that's the slogan
We're
for
live, sorry.
Waterworld, I should. Yeah, the slogan. You're right. Should be
That he,
"Welcome to Waterworld. We murder each other over fruit."
Why would you steal another man's fruit?
Well,
And then he's just eating it like a
dude,
peel,
what
just
kind
like
of
it's an
sexy-
apple.
This is an interesting question. How did
Yes.
they avoid scurvy? Because
Yeah.
this was a major issue for most of the world's sailing navies until like mid 1800s.
Those were the only 6 limes on the planet, I think.
Yeah. So, like, how did those people avoid scurvy? Because that's a bad disease.
We should be making a list of these questions. This is
I
like
had quite a list already.
question
This is
number
just coming
6.
As we're talking.
How did they not have scurvy? How was there no rain collecting apparatus?
you don't-
What was your first one? Was the best one? Which was, what did you ask?
Why
It was
is there
literally
not enough water?
no. Well, that's another one. Why is there not enough water?
Cigarettes? How
The
they get all
cigarettes. How the cigarettes
That's
survive?
number 1 on my list.
That's what it is.
They were recyclers, though. I mean, a couple of the drifters were like wearing old the rings you have the 6-packs on and everything else and make clothing out of it. So obviously they
Yeah,
found
but you
Garbage
can't
Island
recycle
out there.
cigarettes.
Yeah. Well, look, I was surprised at least how effective the movie was at getting me straight into it because I was surprised how angry I was about these limes when the guy was taking them. I was
Why
like,
would you do that?
that's just what I'm saying. I was getting so upset.
Well, he thought the guy was dead. He wasn't on his boat.
Yeah.
And he said, I almost took your boat if you hadn't come back up.
I guess
Can I just also say the Mariner is a ruthless guy.
he is,
Yeah,
which
he
I
is.
actually really appreciated.
He's like, I'm going to murder everyone I don't like unless it's this little girl and woman.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He's about ready to. I
He
mean,
almost killed them too.
Gene Triplehorn was every man's punching bag in this movie.
So what happens is this guy comes, this drifter, and apparently there's this code among drifters in Waterworld where if your flags are up, you stop, they all stop for each other, and then something has to be exchanged is the code. And the guy doesn't want to exchange or stick around because he knew he ripped off, Water Costner's limes.
Yep.
And so he is trying to take off. At the same time, these two smokers show up. And this is one of my biggest questions is the fleet of jet skis that they have, like you mentioned, they don't
make it all summer.
make it all summer. But these guys
torn up, but yeah.
You're talking about these things are 400 years old. If this is the year 2500.
Yes.
It's powered by Jack Daniels and cigarettes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
I mean, really, you look at these people. You look at the smokers. Are they really that smart? Are they really smart enough to maintain these things for?
Well, how far does a jet ski go? I don't know, general mileage.
And
I can't imagine.
And you know
not
what?
that
Jet
far.
skis are gas hogs, man. It's one good day on the lake, and you might fill it up twice.
Right. So that might be.
Well, so that does raise a question as to whether all of this stuff is very close together.
It has to be.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest issues with the film is how randomly people find each other.
Yes.
Right. And do you know how close, or first of all, how hard it is on the open water to find somebody?
Right.
And how you have to get really close, within a very close distance, to spot people.
Yes.
And this happens multiple times where they just random.
And obviously don't have radar anymore.
No.
That's gone.
And so on a world that's open water, almost no one should ever see anybody.
No.
I think your head's about to explode.
We might. It might.
I feel like we're talking about time travel right now.
It is. Well, the smokers come in at the same time as the lime guy is trying to get away with Water Costner's limes. And that's my nickname for him in this movie, by the way.
Water Costner.
Water
Hey,
Costner.
quick question, a sidetrack, weird note.
Yeah.
The villain, Dennis Hopper's name is, he says, I'm the deacon. Now,
deacon.
in the religious term, what is a deacon?
Well, a deacon is just like an elder or a lay leader within the church. It's not necessarily somebody that's like a pastor or a priest.
Okay,
it's
I just wanna
the
know,
next
'cause-
level down from that. Would you
It
agree?
would definitely be a title of authority, though.
Yes, it is. No, it's
Yep,
the leader of the
definitely is,
church. Yeah.
Okay.
He's the leader.
Because he's obviously acting like he's a leader of some crazy
if you
cult.
go to a
Yeah.
church
Right.
and a deacon speaks like him, I suggest go to a different church.
I got that, but I for some reason
If a
I'm like,
pastor's just chucking smokes at everybody,
Well, I don't know if
And he
it's
comes
supposed,
out
but
there,
I've had a
followers.
Vision, I've had a
Hey, he
vision,
chucked
and
me-
the Lord told me, and that I probably.
I saw the land.
that's
I
right.
think you go to a different church, but yeah, deacon's
right.
a title of authority.
Thank you for clearing that. I really
Apparently,
actually want to.
apparently the saint is Joe Hernandez, the Valdez captain.
wow.
Yeah.
If it was a Baptist smokers group, then he would just be like, "Start the potluck."
Here's some spam.
And he'll turn. They'll be making casseroles for a month before they figure out that I'm faking it.
How could you not disagree that Dennis Hopper was great at this movie?
Or we're gonna
crappy
repaint
was
the
it? It
boat.
was
It'll
He
take
had
him
the
5
best
weeks
lines
to
for
figure
sure.
out what we're gonna paint the
He
boat
absolutely
now.
had the best
Yes.
lines.
I love the potluck line. That's awesome.
I'm gonna get into more Hopper stuff. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right.
Where were
But they have this first run in where we realize kind of the economics of the thing with the trading and the drifter, and then these smokers. We know almost instantly these are the bad guys. But he's able to get away and essentially take out this guy's the drifter's sail.
Yes, and you're introduced to his awesome boat.
The boat's one of the best.
All kinds
is-
of mechanisms,
yeah.
and he can run it all by like 1 or 2 spots.
And he's able to get away from
Yes.
motorized vehicles fast enough
Yep.
that he can outrun them.
Yep.
And as he's zooming past the guy that stole his limes, he takes out his mast and the smokers kill him.
So the guy gets killed. That's ruthless.
It's pretty ruthless.
But he didn't get his
don't-
limes back.
He even turns around and gives him one of these,
did.
right? Like that's
But I
for the
would've thought he
limes.
should have got his limes.
Yeah, but it was like limes or death at that point. You got to
guess that's
choose.
true.
Right? Not that he couldn't have taken out 2 smokers. The guy is like crazy good.
Yeah, he could
fighter.
have.
But the first big scene in the movie is where he gets to the atoll for the first time. And the atoll is this big giant set you heard us talking about earlier that they built for this movie. It's a 1/4 mile in diameter. And it's basically a floating city of survivors that are living together and trading with people that come in and out. And so he goes there to trade, as I'm sure this is his life. He's out on the water for a long time, and then he finds a floating, settlement, and he goes into trade. And it's got to be a very stressful place to live. I mean, he's very smart when he pulls in there and he shows the rearview mirror to the kids, right? And he says, if you'll all get one if I come back and everything is still here on my boat.
Yeah.
Because imagine living in a world where everyone everywhere is trying to take everything you have all the time.
Yeah.
It'd be very stressful.
Would be. And all the people on the atoll are a little inbred and weird.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, can we talk? Okay, hold on.
Now,
But the first thing he rolls in.
This is where your first postman thing really.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What is with
That's
people
what I thought, but I'm gonna
Go ahead.
back up a little bit, like because we're getting to where he got in. I mean, the first when he got to the door, he's like, wants a trade, and they're like, oh yeah, we got enough junk here already. We don't need that. And then he's got the dirt. That's what got him in.
Oh,
right?
that's right. The dirt got him in the door. Thank you.
He wasn't going to get in otherwise. He wasn't going to get in, and we would have never known they were inbred and weird because they didn't want his junk.
But then we get into the store and they have nothing.
That's kind of weird.
So
He'll take the tomato plant.
they just didn't like how, like the cut of his jib or what?
You got 17 patchwork quilt sale there. We want 18 before
that's
we'll
right.
let you
Get
in.
out of here. But you're right. He does get in, and you bring up a good point, Charles. Is that what is it about these Costner movies where everyone is after his seed?
He needs. It could be.
Well, like you said at the opening, he's got a big ego at this point.
It could be. Is that true?
Ego. The whole world
His
needs more
ego.
Costner.
We talked about it in Postman. The girl comes after him just to get impregnated.
Yeah.
Even when we did 3,000 Miles to Graceland, they go through great care in that movie to show that every girl that comes across Costner's path is into him. Okay, every single one of them. And then in this one, they're chasing him down the dock. Please impregnate our daughter.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
a little weird.
okay, this is starting to get weird.
My wife was watching this part with me last night. She says, "This is just like the Postman." You're right. That is very similar to the Postman.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, good.
And
Same
sort
story,
of the
different actor.
neutral, good
Right.
cop kind of guy too, who tried to keep the peace and the craziness.
Oh, yeah. And I did think it was a very funny line where the guy that was leading that charge to, get the girl knocked up has that comment where he's like, we could do this ourselves, but it doesn't always lead to the
He looks
best
up
results. He
to
kind of looks back at this guy like, this blind bastard can't even see straight. this inbred hook.
The guy's kind of like, yeah, it's true. We need to stop this behavior.
That was actually the scary German guy from Monster Squad. Was the guy he turned back and looked at with the glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so gross.
that was funny in and of itself, but I didn't expect them to turn hostile so quickly.
Yeah, well, they got to move the
Who
plot
turns
along.
down my daughter?
Yeah.
That was
When you got mad,
that's
and
what
then
the
was it
reaction
before? Was that before or after they showed the soup pit where they dump everybody?
That was right when he was pulling
That's
in.
when he's
So
pulling in, right?
Recycle.
Yeah.
They recycle.
The recycle pit.
Recycle pit.
is that supposed to be like there? Because they had a big tree. I don't know if you saw it. They didn't show it very well, but there is like a
there a
big
tree?
tree inside the atoll, and that was like right above that. So I don't know if that's like their dirt, which they don't really have dirt. It more like
Right.
was like a natural soup with, I'm sure,
Well,
fertilized by
My
dead
question
bodies.
was when they got he trades the dirt, and it's obviously very valuable. Do they pour the dirt in that pit?
I don't
I
know.
was like, oh, is that where they got the doncrete from?
So it looked like he's swimming in Doncrete. Like the donkey concrete that they fed him
Full
in
of old
Postman.
dead
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that was gross. But the first time we see Jean Triplehorn is she's working at the store where he's paid a ton of money. I mean, chits, I guess, is the currency of, which just looks like metal washers.
Yeah, it just
right?
looked like
That reminded me of Star Wars a little bit.
Did it?
well, they have budget. I mean, they had, so let's just go to the hardware store and get a few washers.
Yeah, right.
Call it money.
And so he buys a tomato plant and some other things, and there's this guy at the bar, okay, and his name is Nord. And I want to bring this guy up because he was my absolute least favorite character in this
Yeah, I
entire
don't like
movie.
Nord at all.
Jared Murphy, Gerard Murphy.
He's the deacon's henchman, right?
Yeah, like the main guy with the giant orange hair.
Yeah.
He's got the Ultimate Warrior
It was
hairdo.
the worst. It looked like Gwildor's hairdo from
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And his face was almost as leathery and
He looked like
misshapen.
a construction worker.
It was terrible.
Well, they were supposed to have leathery faces in his son all the time.
I know, but he
I
was
didn't like
extra leathery.
You like those guys that Dad used to work with,
Yeah.
Peter Baker.
He actually looked
reminded
like
me
an
a lot of
80s
those guys.
hairband guy.
But it's important to know that he's there looking for the girl. We don't know at this point that he's a smoker spy,
Right.
but he's there looking for this girl. And so this is kind of you do that again. So this is, kind kind of a trope in these movies, the chosen one child that will lead the way to the prophecy being fulfilled, or however you want to spin it, but it's something that they've used this device in a lot of
wait a second.
movies.
The guy that turns down a girl because he doesn't want to sleep with her gets immediately treated like a smoker spy, but the guy that looks like he's
shopping for an 8-year-old.
the guy that looks like he's shopping for an 8-year-old and looks like he's been like spray tan and fried.
Yeah.
And he probably
Doesn't-
smelled like cigarettes.
Yeah. Doesn't.
Thank you, because I thought about that. Like, everybody that lives on the Valdez would not be able to be a spy.
No.
Because they would all reek.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Although there's no showers.
It sounded like the back seat of my grandma's car.
Might cover up the smoking.
My grandpa, actually. I don't think my grandma actually. But grandpa was like, going in car rides with, I remember it smelled. But yeah, so he's there shopping for an 8-year-old. And of course, cue the little girl running out of the back of the shop. And it's like, if you've got a super secret back tattoo, maybe you shouldn't only wear a backless shirt everywhere you go.
Hey, they didn't have a J.C. Penney or TJ.
Okay, but could you specifically sew a patch on the back to cover it?
There's traders coming in from the Pacific garbage patch all the time.
I have.
We have no plot then if that happens. You ruined the story.
But she's literally like reaching over and pulling it up. Go, get back in
Here's the
there.
other question I have.
Yeah.
Is the clothes they're wearing that look like leather, is it cow or is it fish skin?
Yes.
It's human.
It's people.
Human.
It's people.
All the above.
I mean,
Soylent Green
it's probably it's probably people.
Wait a minute.
It's people. Also, and
So
some of them
Soylent Green
had-
caused the polar ice caps
There
to
you
melt.
go.
Yeah.
Did you know you could buy stuff called Soylent Green, which I think is the dumbest name ever? Like, did they not see the movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what that means? Why would I want to eat anything called Soylent Green? Anyway, so you think it's fish?
I think it's probably because I think
then-
the cow's all drowned.
Yeah, well, they have to, right? Because
Right.
it's 500 years
Yeah,
later. there's
wouldn't
no
they
swimming
float?
Cows. Well, I don't know. They got those evolved sea monsters. Maybe
For a
those
hot
are
minute,
cows.
I don't know.
Maybe
But-
the manatee.
Yeah, that sea monster looked like it had pretty thick skin.
But essentially, to get to where we're going on this scene specifically, is he shows up, he barters. We find out that the smokers are looking for this little girl who's got supposedly a map on her back to dry land. Yes. And before Costner can take his stuff that he trades his dirt for and get out, the crowd turns hostile and it turns into an X-Men movie. And they realize he's a mutant and we hate mutants.
You don't like mutants?
No. Muto. And so they lock him up, which is kind of a weird scene because they're like, he killed somebody. And then the main guy's like, it was self-defense. We need to destroy him. The guy's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Well, he's keeping the
Like
peace.
the-
They did have a
the
trial.
law
They
in
had a
that-
trial. Their justice is difficult.
What
like
trial?
What a sham
let's just
proceeding
admit
that was.
Most justice is hard in society. How much harder is it going to be in a water world?
Fair enough.
With inbred people on an atoll.
They
Right.
attacked him first, and then he's not supposed to defend himself.
And he's in a cage above the recycle pit.
Yeah, which is what a way to go that would be.
That would suck, yeah.
Especially you drown a guy that can breathe underwater.
My
and
wife
that's a
was like,
terrible
why
way to
doesn't
go.
he breathe in
That
there?
was
I'm
the
like,
thing
why
I
would you
was-
wanna breathe that? It's like breathing smoke or something.
Yeah, it's like swimming in mud. I don't know if that would work.
I don't know. I was thinking that it still looked pretty watery, but
Yeah.
I don't even
what is it down in
Dead
there?
people
Is
in it. Like you're breathing dead people.
This is the moment we realize that Costner is able to breathe underwater. He's got these gills behind his ears and he's got webbed feet. And so he's, I don't know if are they suggesting that people would evolve? Is that what the movie is saying?
That's
I
a
got
pretty
some
quick
questions.
evolution.
I got
Yeah.
some questions about that too.
Or was there some fish out there trying to get after Costner in the same way these
That's right. Costner's parents were a little freaky out there on the water.
Hey man,
Them dolphins. Well, I guess they don't have gills.
you're out there for long enough. That was what they were all saying.
Yeah, but dolphins aren't. They don't have gills.
A dolphin swings up and
They're mammals. It'd have to be a shark or a
the shark rolls up.
Yeah.
You've been out here a long
really
time.
sexy barracuda.
You know how long you'd have to be stranded at sea for a barracuda to be sexy?
Well, there's that song. Apparently, it's something. Ooh, barracuda. Maybe they were listening to that. Like, well, it's been a long time.
All right. Well, right as he's about to essentially be lowered into the muck, because
Tuna are kind of attractive.
he did you just say tuna are kind of attractive? That there's so many questions I have that come out of that one set. What do you mean kind of? What do you mean
Well, I mean,
attractive?
if I'm a human and I'm in a desperate situation and there's the fish options. I don't know.
We are learning so much about
Now, marlin, I couldn't
do
resist.
you dump tuna? Do you dump tuna in your bedroom on all of your mattress?
My wife's allergic to fish.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay. So that's
out.
obviously
That's
not
out.
So
happening.
that's not part of our,
okay.
Do you put like fish?
All right, I'm going to move on before we get any deeper into this conversation.
My name is Troy McClure.
The smokers show up, okay, right as he's about to be lowered into the muck because the townspeople are going to murder Walter Costner, and the smokers show up in force. I mean, they got the
Siege ramps and everything.
siege ramps in the whole 9 yards.
An airplane.
This is how you take a castle on the water.
Do you know who the pilot of the airplane is?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't until I
had to
accidentally
look it up.
I had
looked
to
it
look
up.
it up too.
Because you can't see his face.
I wasn't
Right.
even looking it up. I just was looking through characters and I'm like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jack
But
Black.
like I said, there's a bunch of those guys in this movie.
That's like one of his first early films.
Oh yeah, well and you can't tell while he's got his goggles on, but the last scene that Jack Black is in, which is when he comes back, we'll get to that scene later, but when he's returned to the D's
sitting in the-
and he's sitting kind of in the background looking
Then you can
around,
kinda see.
then you can kind of tell it's him. But up to that point, if you didn't look in that like few
I
second
had
window,
no
you would
idea. I
never
was
know.
shocked when I saw his name in the list.
Did you know Jack Black was in there?
I did not know. That's
Yeah.
why I'm like kind of like what?
That's Jack Black. Was the
Jack
guy
Black.
piloting the plane that was spent running around. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. So the smokers show up, and this is a great scene from, I mean, again, practical action, stunt men flying around, doing actual stunts. The guy's got, good old Chuck is shooting a 4-barrel 50 cal, just decimating the wall in front of him.
Again,
That's,
more questions on you.
the show
That's a lot
at
of
Universal
shells
is very
going
much
through
like
there.
that.
Where are they
Lots of
getting them
ski
from?
jumps and-
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
All right, hold on, time out,
Firebursts.
time out, because we guys said that at the same time. So I want you to repeat that, but I want to get his out first. So repeat what you had said
I
about.
was just gonna say that 4-barrel 50 cal is another question. Where are they getting all these bullets? Because that thing's eating up bullets left and
Yeah,
right.
ammunition was
Absolutely.
a huge question I had in the whole movie.
Now, what were you saying?
I was saying at the Universal show, they have jumping Sea-Doos and ski guys, balls of flame, and an airplane.
So it's kind of like a recreation of this scene.
Yes, very much.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool.
And it was an entertaining scene.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
And Deacon, Dennis Hopper, it's the first time we see him. He rolls up with the coolest walkie-talkies of all time. These 2 flag boys, right? It was like, you would usually, when you had working technology, you'd say, fire on, this, over here, destroy this wall. No, he's got to have the flag boys go. They give the same signal no matter what he tells them to do, which is just like totally random.
Just wave the flag.
Are everybody looking back every once in a while to see what the flag boys are doing? Oh, he wants us to shoot the hot air balloon. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the signal for a hot air balloon. Everybody switch what you're doing. Doesn't seem very proficient.
And what
I don't know.
on Deacon's boat, they're pumping something. What are they pumping? It's like obviously explosive.
I think they're pumping the power of the boat.
Oh, you're right. There
Yeah.
was like a thing in the middle
Yeah,
of it.
they're like
Gas
the
or
old
helium or
on the rail.
Yeah.
On the
I never
railroad.
quite understood what
I
that
think
was.
I think they're giving the boat power, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe?
I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it
Who
seemed
knows?
like they were doing.
Because they were shoveling up the shells too.
Yep.
So I don't know if they were repurposing that somehow as fuel. I
Those
don't know.
the guns were from like battleship anti-aircraft or
Yeah, so usually there's only 2, right?
4 mounts.
There's the 4 of them, and that was really awesome. I don't understand how Chuck didn't realize as he was being pulled towards,
Yeah.
He has
Dennis
goggles
Hopper.
on, and his goggles are all covered in ash.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think he even saw what he was doing.
Yeah.
he's just
And
firing.
Chuck
He's
was
just enjoying what he's
dedicated.
doing.
Yeah, he's just like having a great time.
Look at it all blow up.
Okay, but Chuck,
Plague boys said shoot.
It does raise a question as to, who put Chuck in charge.
Chuck definitely got murdered after this, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, dude.
They never show what happened to Chuck
No.
Why would you murder somebody? It's your own darn fault with your dumb flag boys.
because Dennis Hopper kills people for far less in this
Yes.
movie.
They threw him in the recycle pool.
But he does have some integrity.
Does he?
Well, remember when they finally capture the atoll? The guy's chained up, and he says, "You said you wouldn't kill me if I told you." He says, "Did I? I might have."
No,
You're
yeah.
right. And then he hands it to
Oh, that's true.
the
Yeah.
blonde
He
guy,
hands it to
Nord, and
Nord.
then
The Nord kills him.
He hands it to the Ultimate Warrior there, and
That's also
Yeah.
one of the best lines in the movie when he walks up to that guy.
Load the spaceships with the rocket fuel.
So at the last second, as Walter Costner's about to sink into the recycle pit, Jean Triplehorn comes over. Helen. Her name's Helen. It'd be much easier to say Helen than her entire name the whole time. Helen and the girl Enola come over, and she says, "If I let you out of here, you've got to take us with you." He says, "Okay, fine."
Oh, he says, "Sure."
he's just like,
Sure.
let's see, sink into this pit of.
He does
recycled
hesitate.
Well,
remains.
I think my
Or
take on the
take these two.
hesitation is like, that's the dumbest question ever. Of course, if you let me out, I'll do whatever you want.
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, right. Yeah, why not?
She busts him out of there. They are able to get his boat. Smokers are firing and dying left and right all around him. They pull the boat out after barely being able to get the door open, right?
Yes.
And this is when, as he's pulling out, he's able to harpoon one of the smokers' boats and pull the gun that's just the 50 cals that are going crazy to blow up Dennis Hopper's ship, and that's how he makes his getaway.
It's a pretty awesome scene.
It's a great scene.
It's a great scene.
Practical effect, real explosions.
Like how he does it, he harpoons it, and then just how they
Yeah.
make everything happen.
It's really, really
Very
great.
calculating.
I didn't quite understand when he threw the javelin
Right.
and he goes,
It was
he
like
like-
this
Oh,
close
he's
to
like,
killing
I
him.
missed you
on
that much?
purpose,
I
or
think-
he's like,
No, I think he
I made a mistake,
wanted to kill him.
but
I think he
close
just
you.
missed.
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't trying to actually kill him, why do it? Because at that point, the smokers hadn't even noticed him yet.
Right.
And as soon as he did that, everybody's like, kill that guy. And now everyone tries to murder him.
It's true.
Right?
He stole his boots, man.
He did.
Take-
Yeah, he did. He took his
Those
boots.
boots look like rollerblades without
I think
wheels.
they were ski boots, weren't they?
Maybe.
Yeah, they were ski boots off a snowboard. I think they were snowboarding boots.
Oh, okay.
What that guy doesn't know, those are really hard to walk in.
You listen to him walking, I'm like,
Yeah.
Maybe
Joke's
that's
on
why-
you, Nord.
Yeah, Nord, you got the crappy boots.
Good luck trying to run after me.
That's right.
Exactly. It's
steal another
always a
man's-
ploy.
That's right. Big brained him.
It's war in Waterworld when you steal another man's
Yeah.
boots. And
So-
fruit.
Dennis Hopper's boat explodes and he ends up losing an eyeball. And essentially they get away. And so we end up with a destroyed atoll and Walter Costner on a boat with Helen and the little girl, right?
In the most annoying road trip in mankind.
And man, women cannot be left alone with Costner for 5 minutes.
She is a
For
punching bag.
5
Wow.
minutes. And she's like, look, let's just do this.
Well, she was trying to protect the girl.
I know. I'm half
doesn't
kidding,
have a lot
but
of
it's just like yet another scene where someone is offering themselves up.
Yeah.
Did you know
Right.
she had a
If
body
you-
double for that?
Oh, did she?
Yeah, but what was a little bit weird about that, so this raises an interesting question.
Okay.
She had been nude in other films and had been nude after this film.
Yeah.
But she did not want to be nude in this film. Does that suggest that perhaps she was uncomfortable being nude in front of Costner?
It could have been. It could have been the set. It could have been the crew. It could have been the director. It could have been any number of things.
And here's
Because
the weird thing: she picked her own stunt double so that her butt would look right.
well, if people are gonna think it's you, I'm sure you want it to not.
Well, I'd be like, get a better looking one.
Get a better one.
I can understand that she get her own stunt double for that. That's a
Yeah.
pretty intimate scene.
Yeah,
for,
but she did it with other films. What was it about this one?
It probably, like you said, came down to comfort for whatever reason. It's just I don't want to speculate as to what that could be and put it necessarily on Costner.
Yeah.
Which it could have been Kevin, but I don't know. We haven't really heard any reports of people that
I
have
wasn't
worked
saying
with
that
him
in
that have
the
said
right
anything about him.
I was
so.
saying that in any
Yeah,
Me
no.
Too type way.
I know.
Just-
I know.
just
I don't
like,
know.
Kevin's got enough. He's full enough of himself. He doesn't need to see me.
Right, for Costner, this is Tuesday.
Yeah, right.
Another girl's dropping her clothes in front of me. Big deal. But man, it's like, and Costner, man, what a way with women. 2 minutes after she's offering herself to him, he's hitting her over the head with a boat oar. Guys just got a way with women.
She did have a harpoon in her hand.
He drops the whole sail off the trimaran. Trimaran?
Yeah.
What's the word?
Yeah, sure, trimaran.
On top of her, bashes her with a boat oar, and then climbs up to where he is, stands there, and then all the sails
Yeah,
are
I
up.
saw that.
That's
too.
right.
There's
I'm
no
just like,
continuity.
what just
Well,
happened?
Well,
it was
look-
before that though too. He had I think that was probably one of Costner's better lines in the movie. He said, killing is a hard thing to do well.
Yeah.
And then he's drops a sail on her.
Says you don't want to start with me.
Right.
Yeah, that was good.
But it also shows his character arc, right?
Right.
He's very isolated, alone, doesn't really think about other people, survival of the fittest.
I just wish they'd given a better reason for him not to kill them, because as his character was there and he's like, I should just throw you both overboard. I kill you both. Why doesn't he? He really has no reason. The movie really didn't give a compelling reason for him not to do it.
Well, maybe the fact she offered himself to him made him think, well, maybe this is more serious than I think.
Okay. I did appreciate the fact that he was going to take her up on it, but when he saw her wince when he first reached to touch her, then he said,
Yep.
no, right? Which we find out later. He says, because you didn't really want me.
Right.
That's why I didn't do it. Right. So I appreciated that. I thought that was cool.
Now, there's an evolution of that in Postman because he didn't have that thought in Postman.
No, he really didn't.
But that was Olivia. No, what was her name?
But
Olivia Williams.
yeah.
Right? I don't.
but Olivia Williams
She's a
seemed like
totally-
she was super into
totally
it, though.
different character.
So I don't think that was the same. I don't think she was wincing, not from the movie that I saw.
No, that
No,
is,
there's no wince there.
as I recall discussing that, it seemed a little overly eager.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and it was a little
Yeah.
more intimate than clinical.
Yeah, clinical.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's right.
So, and then we get our first shot at the D's. So it's never really called. It's supposed to be a big kind of funny reveal at the end when it's sinking and you see the name, but they just keep calling it the D's. But it's the Exxon Valdez,
Yep.
right? Because, and I think when we were talking, you had mentioned your wife was wondering where they get all the oil from,
Right.
Right?
Right.
I don't think that poor guy out.
Can you please tell that story because that was very funny.
Yeah, so we're watching it, and my wife is watching it too with me, and she's like, "Well, where's all this oil coming from? The whole Earth's covered with water. Where are they pumping it from?" I'm like, "The Exxon Valdez just sank. It's an oil tanker. It holds millions of gallons of oil. Now, of course, we don't know how long.
Right.
It's what 500 years or so, or
Right.
what was said, right?
Yeah.
Are millions of gallons going to last in an oil tanker over the course of 500 years, and the smokers are using it? I don't know, but I'm like,
Right.
there's oil in the tanker. They didn't have to pump it. It's been sitting in the tanker. Didn't you hear? He said, no more tractor pulls so we can save the oil.
That was my favorite part about this is they're running low on oil and Hopper's so mad about it, right? And I'm like, you literally drive a car around your boat like to get from point A to point B. And you're like, what do you mean we don't have a lot of oil left? How about that old guy that sits down in the
why don't
tank?
they pull him out?
He just lives down
He just
there.
lives down there.
He
He's
was
like,
so
we got
miserable, he
48
was
inches
happy to
oil
die.
left.
4 feet. Was it just over 4 feet?
Yeah.
Right? And who knows what they started with, but apparently that's not very much.
And I guess the other cut talks about them having refinery capabilities.
Yeah, their ability, right? Because
There
I
has
think
to be somewhere.
'Cause you
there's a
can't
line
just
of
use crude
dialogue
oil.
right after that. He says, okay, well, how much is that after we refine it, right? And so,
Well, and here's the other thing that you're making an assumption. This is the assumption I made, is that is oil that had been sitting in the Exxon Valdez when the ice caps melt and wasn't usable.
Right.
Now, if that's the fuel oil for a ship like that, they use bunker fuel. It's the garbage that's left over after refining. You can't refine it.
right.
So it could be
So
just
that's the other
crude oil, though.
right.
Could be.
That's the assumption you have to make, right? That's just crude sitting in there. But
Right.
They cut back to, the trio, as you said, on the worst road trip ever, right? And the boat is found by an airplane that the smokers had sent out. And so Jack Black finds Costner just floating around with these two women. And that's a very interesting scene that he is set up. They're kind of caught with their pants down in a way that he had just thrown the little girl overboard
Yeah.
and so isn't really in a position to get away because and Helen comes up and punches him directly in his face.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
That was great.
For throwing the girl overboard.
Well, that's what you get for hitting her with an oar.
But she ends up, so this plane comes and he goes downstairs to do his, and at this point, like, he's demonstrated Costner is the most capable person on the planet.
Yes.
that, and he does have a conscience because he was like,
Right.
oh, damn it. All right. I'm going to put the sail down. I'm going to turn this thing around. Go pick him up.
Go pick him up. But let him handle all of the problems.
Yes.
You don't need to fire.
Don't touch anything on my boat. And now, let me go up to the whaling harpoon because he's a coward. And didn't you just see him kicking everybody's ass to
There's
get
a reason
out
why
to this
he
point?
went down to grab stuff.
Right. He's
Yeah,
not
she
just
thinks-
hiding.
She thinks he's running away from a fight.
coward.
Like, he hasn't run away from any fight yet.
Right.
Right.
But and yes, okay, you hit a great 1 in a million shot. You harpoon the guy and as the plane is in motion,
Right.
just dead nail the gunner.
She was in an Olympic harpooning.
Well, and he yelled to her before she shot it not to do it.
Right, and she does it anyway. You're right. So he even got back out.
He got out in
and
time,
he's got the harpoon he's going to use.
Right. The Quint harpoon from Jaws, same model and
Oh, is it
everything.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's nice.
That's
touch.
awesome.
And
Touch.
so the plane is in an ever decreasing circle now, tethered to the boat, flying around and around, and Jack Black's trying to shoot the wire.
Stupidest thing ever.
That was really Jack Black?
Yes.
It was Jack
Oh,
Black,
my
yes.
Yes.
I did not.
It was like
See, you
his
learned something
third
today.
Good
or
makeup
fourth
then.
movie, maybe he
Yeah.
was in.
Well, and what's funny is he was also in Cable Guy, the next year after this, which references Waterworld.
Okay.
So a little bit of a connection there too. He was like Ben Stiller's basketball buddy or whatever in that. But they're able to, though, the pilot is able to break the wire and get back to tell, Deacon where they are, and he's got to now fix his boat, and the ropes he would pull on to go flying aren't working anymore, and so he's very mad.
That's when Costner cuts their hair, right?
Yeah, that's what I say. It's a little bit of a weird punishment.
Well, I was wondering, my wife asked this question, and I thought, well, did he do it because they were looking for two girls? But then I'm like, well, the boat is super recognizable, so that would matter. I think it was just his vengeance. The girl said you should cut your hair.
Yeah.
So
well, I get why he cut the other one. Oh, is that? Oh, before that he did. You're right.
The little girl said, that's one of my favorite lines too.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Go ahead, yeah.
Is every introvert feels this way when he says, you talk a lot. And she says, I talk a lot because you don't talk at all. That's how every introvert feels. Yeah.
That's awesome.
When I hang out with my extroverted friends, they talk a lot. And then my friends go, it's because you don't say anything at all. I'm like, that's true. That's why I guess I hang out with you so you talk and I don't have to. And they carry that throughout the whole thing.
They do.
Because the smokers are like, you never stop talking.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that talk a lot, this drifter then shows up at the boat.
I think he's one of the best.
Kim Coates.
He was super scuzzy, but he's great in that.
And he's weird, and I love that character.
He plays that so well.
I love Kim Coates.
He's a great character actor. His IMDb list is a mile long.
I had no idea yet. My wife was like, who is that guy? I'm like, I don't know. Then I'm like, wow, he's been in like everything.
Everything. Sons of Anarchy is probably his most recent famous thing.
He had a lot of
that people know for. He's got tons of stuff.
He must be pretty high up in that show.
And he's good friends with Costner now, too. I think they've done other things together since.
I think he's in Yellowstone.
Open Range.
I think he's did a lot of stuff in Yellowstone.
He was the guy in Open Range that Costner walks up to and he says, you're the guy that killed my friend? He said, yep, I enjoyed it, too. And he shoots him right in the head. Kim Coates. Same guy.
Well, he's very good in this.
Yeah. Oh,
Really
great.
owns that character.
And he's got, I think he's Irish. Is he?
Canadian.
No, but I mean the character had like an Irish accent.
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the show or in the movie show,
He had the best hair.
he had great hair. He had great just presence. His little ticks, the way he talked, all of that stuff.
Paper.
Paper. You ever heard of paper?
Not for sale. Not for sale. Not for sale.
What is this resin that? Because Costner now,
they want resin.
halfway through the movie, becomes obsessed with resin, and we never are told what it is, why he needs it. But he says it here. Then, like another scene later, when they rolling up on the floating barter ship, he's like, I need some resin. Where's the resin?
So I assume it is. Must have some sort of fiberglass component to his boat.
Okay.
So you need the resin to patch it because he made reference. He's got a hole in the hull and it's taking out water. So you need resin to kind of melt it down or whatever, make a patch for his boat.
It makes sense because it's not until after the airplane attack that he starts obsessing about whether they have resin or not, which they never do end up getting any.
Well,
but
the boat burns down, so it doesn't matter.
He's shocked when he asks for it. So whatever it is, it must be extremely rare. But there's a code, so he stops for this drifter, and it turns out the guy's a little bit of a pedophile.
When he wasn't going to stop, he kind of like must have known. He's like, it kind of looks weird.
It was Helen that made it.
Helen made it. Don't you guys stop for each other? Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, but
she traded her necklace for the
pedo
fishing
weirdos.
This is the other thing is like, she needs to listen to him. Like, why are you not stopping for him? Like,
he's done nothing
I've
but
dealt with people like this before. They're absolutely insane.
You've been on the atoll too long.
Well, and Costner's like, you've been drifting for a while, right?
Yeah.
You've encountered
outwater. He said, you've been outwater.
You had encountered a guy that steals your fruit.
Right.
Well, he's been out there for 15 months. She has encountered exactly 0 drifters in her life.
Exactly.
She's handled almost no smoker attacks.
No.
At all steps along this journey, he's done nothing but prove he can handle any situation. Leave him alone.
Well, maybe it's a
is what
moral of the
happens.
story is you should communicate better. If Costner had
There you go.
communicated better to her, then maybe they would have.
It's like when my wife tells me how to drive, and it's like, I do this for a living.
Oh, let's take some more time and talk about that. What? Tell me more, Bob.
You really want to tell me more?
No, because your wife might listen to this. I'm trying to save you from getting in trouble. Okay.
This is my
Don't do that.
professions. I do not go to someone's job and tell them how to bag groceries.
All right, fair enough. You do drive for a living. it's an uncomfortable scene. I don't know how much you want to talk about. The guy wants to get with the little girl.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's trying to trade whatever he has. And the most valuable thing he has is a few pieces of paper, which Costner trades a half an hour with the adult to get the paper. But was he ever really going to let that happen? Or was that a ploy to get him under deck?
No, I think he was going to let her go. But I think he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't.
See, yeah, I went back and forth, right? I'm like, I think he just wanted her to learn a lesson.
Okay.
To listen to me. I know what the hell I'm talking about. You haven't been out here. You've been at your store with no inventory in the 8-hole forever.
Right, slinging hydro.
And he put his foot down. He said, no, not the girl. You can have her, though. He's looking at the paper. He said, yeah, there's nothing here. It's just like torn magazine covers or whatever. There's nothing valuable there. Then he comes down. I think it was more he wanted to teach a lesson. Then he wanted to get this guy. Because I think...
That rings true to me.
I think him going and saying... Oh, what about the little girl? I think that kind of pissed Costner off.
Yeah.
He said, nah, take her. And they wanted to get him in some, kind of... comfort downstairs on my boat under here where the little girl, I'll send Helen back up and we're going to have it out.
And that's one-on-one downstairs.
Right.
And he's going to win that every time.
Yep.
He was going to kill the guy.
That's a really good explanation on your part, Ryan. And it rings true to me. You don't think so?
Seems too complicated.
You think so?
I think he was like, she's annoying. Whatever.
Do you think
been out here a long time? Paper's kind of cool.
We'll let him have a go.
She's kind of cute. Maybe I think
you could be right, but I want to believe what Ryan is saying.
Because he just goes down there and he says it's off, and the guy starts to fight. So I don't.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like Costner was egging him on necessarily.
Yeah.
I think Costner was going to kill him.
From the beginning.
Yeah. He was going to kill him.
Okay.
Because he knew right away the second he saw him, and like you said, he'd been able to see a long time, and he knew when the guy started asking for what he was asking for, he was like,
"This guy's
all right. Well, you know what? I think
he immediately starts chucking his stuff onto his boat.
Right. Yeah. He was planning to kill him from the second.
Right.
He didn't want to stop.
Okay.
Because he knew.
Okay.
It's a sixth sense.
Maybe.
Right.
And they're still begging for food. And so this is when he goes in and uses himself as a lure and catches a giant sea monster.
That was bad.
That was
awesome.
Which also which is awesome, but raises so many questions. Like, okay, there's giant sea monsters now. How is anyone anywhere alive? Wouldn't these things have killed
Costner knew when they were awake.
everybody?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, no, they're sleeping now.
When they're swimming?
All of them?
Asleep.
They're all asleep?
They're all asleep.
Every single one of them?
I don't know what that creature was. I couldn't even tell in the brief moment. Like,
I think
that
was on purpose.
I paused that and rewind it. I'm like, what is this thing? This looks like just a fat, bloated crocodile.
But this is an important moment, I feel like, from a script standpoint. I really loved this. This was the moment as they're sitting there cooking the slabs of meat that the whole relationship shifted between him and the women on that boat after he saves Helen from the guy, whether he orchestrated it or not. And then they have this conversation, and it's this really, really important exchange, especially between Costner and the girl, when the little girl says, "People said I was weird," and Costner says, "Maybe they were right." She says, "Maybe they were right about you."
Yeah.
And that was the moment it all clicked for him. You could tell by his face, right? This idea that, well, if they're right about me, right? And then, like, if you're a freak, then I'm a freak, kind of a thing. And it really made them connect, I think, on a different level. And everything changed from that point.
That was after. That was before he took her swimming, right?
Yes. Yeah, because the next scene, he loans her the crayon. Yep. And then the scene after that, he's teaching her how to swim. Right. So from that moment on, from the cooking that fish and having that little exchange about maybe they're right about you, maybe they're right about me, it changed everything.
Yeah, and he's like, I've never met anyone that could swim, never swim before. And my wife and I were like, yeah, why wouldn't you know how to swim in a water world? Like, that seemed like childhood development 101.
Well, and that was the thing that made her a freak.
Right. Well, and the other thing is you learn that later, right? So my wife looked it up. She looked up what Enola meant.
Yeah.
Means alone.
Right.
And Enola is alone backwards. So I think it kind of gives to the mystery of where did this kid come from,
She's
right?
Very old, so that is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Like, how long ago did she show up, and
who tattooed her back?
Right.
I think her parents did.
Well, her parents did, because you see the attempts or the drawings on the when they get to the island.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a really cool moment. There's a shift, like I said, in this, and I think from that point on, he's bonded with her, and they're like best buds. You know.
Well, I think he realizes they're both alone, right? He's a loner on the sea. She's that Helen's not her mom. She's just like some kid that showed up from somewhere
She's just
someday.
Taking her on as a surrogate, which, God bless her for doing that. But this is the moment where if the events of the end had happened prior to them having this moment, I think he doesn't go after her.
No.
Right?
No, absolutely not.
But after this, now they're floating upon one of these, looks like a floating supply shop.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought it was great how the smokers decided to go with the Weekend at Bernie's approach to, I'm like, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for him.
And once again, he thought he knew right away, this is not right. I'm speaking their language. They're not responding.
Right.
And he sees the oil floating in the water.
Yep. Right.
And he's like, yeah. And then he does his the underwater
he's the man.
telescope. And he just sees the smokers. And he's like, yep, okay, I knew it.
He's super capable.
Here we go.
Yeah.
U-turn.
U-turn. He gets away. He's got this kite. He's always hiding some fantastic ability that his boat has.
That boat's awesome.
And the kite just flies out and they get away. But he does get shot. So he's able to...
Almost like water Batman.
That's what I'm saying. Water Costner.
And then we get one of the coolest scenes. One of the scenes you have to do in movies like this. You have to have the hero and villain face to face.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's great. And so they get away and they have what I think is the coolest scene in the movie where we get to see the ruins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's Denver, Colorado down there. Is it? Yeah. There's a couple of the buildings you can tell are
I was trying to figure
it out.
How did you
catch that? How did you catch that?
I thought it was Denver, but then I had to look it up. And so you can look it up and it'll tell you.
I thought it was L.A. or
I figured it was like one of the coastal cities.
Yeah, it was one of the
Denver's I think they picked Denver because it's the highest city
Okay.
Now, how
in
deep
the
is
country.
Because that seems like it was a long ways down. How would he be able to pull her with the air, and does that even work?
Well, no, it doesn't. The science fails.
Yeah, the science fails because they were
try to
going
wrap
for
your
a
head around
long
the
time.
science.
Yeah.
I'm like, she would have used that up 200 feet ago.
Not only that, the air compresses as you get lower, and it wouldn't have been breathable.
I like
at a certain depth.
Intercontinental ballistic missile submarine on the bottom.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was cool.
Nice park job by that submarine driver.
We can assume maybe
He
it was
missed a
only-
Pepsi can by like inches. He could have had a
Nice
Pepsi
Pepsi
can.
ad.
Maybe we can only assume it was only 100 feet down.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
That's how high Denver was.
Right.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, it's the Mile High City, right? So I think that's probably why they went with it. But I thought that was really neat, and I wish they'd spent more time down there.
See, if
Isn't
that's
this movie
true.
Isn't this movie awesome?
If that's
I like this movie.
That's Denver,
Yeah,
and they end up in what is the name of this mountain?
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest.
That's
I'm assuming they crossed the Pacific
That's a long ways around
in the
world.
water balloon.
But think about it. There's no traffic.
That's right.
Well, yeah,
Right.
but that goes back to my earlier question of how close are all these people?
They're not. This is what, again, you can't pull on the strings or it starts to all fall apart.
Dry land is a long ways away.
It is.
And they flew there in a balloon.
They flew there in a balloon.
Well, actually, if you're going the
Yeah.
opposite, so if you're
I guess
going,
we got the
if you're going the
jet
opposite
stream.
west,
And they found Amelia Earhart on the way too while they were. Well,
Right.
will you catch the jet stream? Is that what you just said?
No, I said if you said it's a long way.
Yeah.
So if you're going east and around,
Yeah.
or instead of just going west and
They
around,
probably just went across the Pacific.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is what if they're going
That's
to
what I'm
Tibet.
thinking. Maybe that's how they got there
Yeah.
faster.
I don't know, but when they come up from underneath, the smokers are there waiting for them, right? And Nord has this stupid, like, should have bought me that drink. Like, okay, what if he had bought you the drink, you would have betrayed all of the smokers and sided with Kevin. Like, shut up. I hate this guy.
I'm just telling you, this actor,
Yeah.
this actor is the corrupt fat judge in Batman Begins.
Oh, the one that's at Falcone's
Yeah.
hangout?
Yep.
That is the guy.
That is the guy
I knew I hated
who
him.
let Mr. Gill go.
I knew
All
I
right.
hated
Side
him.
note. Sorry. Get back to Waterworld.
Back to Waterworld.
So he doesn't age well, you're saying?
No, he only plays
No.
jerks.
Sorry for calling you fat.
The smokers leave, and Water Costner makes out with Helen underwater. That's how they survive.
Yeah.
Please.
I did that when I was in like 6th grade. But
Make out underwater.
fifth grade,
You
tried to.
breathed for her. Did it work?
No. Just a peck.
I think I think I texted you.
I will breathe. Charles, like, I watched Waterworld. I will breathe for you. She's like,
your tongue is not helping me breathe.
It must not have been good for her because after that she went for my best friend. So my elementary school days were rough. When it came
she was more of a Kurt Russell person than Kevin Costner. I understand.
She's probably a troll now.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know. I never found her. I've been looking for her all my life.
Well, good luck. I hope one day you find her and that your wife is understanding about it.
I mean, just to see how she's doing, not beyond that.
I'm kidding. I joke. I kid. What were you going to say about the...
Christy, give me a text.
If this dumb movie podcast is the thing that makes you find the girl you Waterworld back when you were in 6th grade, I can't. That'll be the greatest thing that ever happened.
This show is trash at Gmail.
That's right. Christy, email the show. Before you reach out to Charles, I have 400 questions that I want to ask.
God bless you, Charles.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, were you going to say something about the makeout scene underwater?
Okay. No, I texted you about this last night.
Okay.
The makeout scene underwater. He gets up. They swim up. The boat is torched.
Yes. This
is perfect time.
It's a smoking wreckage.
It's a smoking wreckage, and it's a perfect time to make love out of smoking wrecked boat.
Well, she wants him now at this point. You could tell.
Why? Out of all the times to do it.
Because it's Kevin Costner.
Why on a toasted
It doesn't
boat?
mean you could have been a picnic table that was on fire, and if you have an opportunity, apparently you take
Danger
it.
can be arousing.
I guess.
Oh, wow.
Maybe she's like, this is the end. I might as well.
This is the end.
We're all going to die because unless one of them fish monsters
right.
show back up.
That's right.
God.
And he doesn't have any more water.
He doesn't. No, you're right. They do get after it on the smoking wreckage of his
I
destroyed
think I
boat.
missed that part because I went and got something to drink.
Yeah. They don't show anything.
Yeah,
It's like
it's nothing to see.
It's like
They do a sky view shot.
We're gonna do it now. They're making out, and then it cuts to the next day or whatever.
Sweet, sexy music.
He just save her life underwater. That's pretty cool.
He hits her with an oar.
Any woman I've ever smacked in the head with an oar, I never came around and anything happened.
There's some very complicated relationships in
I'm
the
gonna
world.
try this. I'm gonna hit my wife with an oar and see what happens. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Take her on the world's longest boat ride, and maybe she'll come around after a while.
You gotta find the smoking wreckage of a boat then after that.
Maybe she just felt bad that she finally did destroy his boat. Like
light a pontoon boat on the chain on fire.
Oh jeez, the whole chain will go up and the whole chain will go up in flames.
That's true, Charles. All right, so
it's also a little weird that's just then that he realizes the picture she's drawing about the trees and stuff too.
yes, so yeah, that's the big reveal. Yeah,
And that might be the point where he decides to, like, all right, I got to figure out how to go after her.
Right.
Right? Because it was feeling like at that point, the love scene, and then, we're just going to sit here and die.
well,
and he's
I don't think we said it, but the girl was taken by the smokers.
You're right.
Yeah.
She was taken by the smokers.
Spoiler alert.
The little girl. Yeah.
And he's finally, it's almost like something clicked or something because he's seen all her pictures all over his boat, and he's got this paper drawing.
Yeah, he sees the underwater
and then he's
paper.
going through his National Geographic stash there, and he's like at that point reeling like, oh yeah, she's seen dry land.
Yeah,
she's
for sure.
probably from dry land.
But they can't really go anywhere on their own. So the good news is a hot air balloon scientist is able to come by and save
we
them.
meet him in the beginning.
You know who that is?
Michael Jeter.
Michael Jeter.
Mr. Noodle from Elmo's World.
Oh, that is Mr.
Yeah.
Noodle. It's
Mr. Noodle.
That's the guy from Green Mile too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Einstein's brother.
He was also in Jurassic
does.
Park 3.
Yep.
I mean, how handy is it that you happen to be friends with a hot air balloon scientist that can swoop in and save you?
Doesn't have a way to keep his hot air balloon from accidentally deploying.
And
I know
somehow magically found him without radar.
Yeah.
Well, it's the smoke.
The smoke from
he
the
did
boat.
say
Wouldn't you
that,
assume
but
that
at least
smoke
they
is
gave-
smokers?
At least they gave a reason how he found it.
They had to.
Sense.
They knew, like, we got to explain this one.
One of the nice continuity thing I liked is at the very beginning he comes up and he has that lighter and it's all dirty and he sticks it in his mouth and he's fighting him with the lighter in his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Weird. Later on, he's sitting there by himself cleaning the lighter up,
Oh, okay.
getting it all shiny.
Nice. I'd missed that part.
That was a nice touch, I thought.
The movie cuts back after they're rescued by the hot air balloon back to the D's, and we kind of get an idea of what's going on with Enola over there. They've got her in a cell, and they're obviously trying to get the details out of her. Here's another example of my issues with, and then maybe it's not even Dennis Hopper's fault, but the muddled tone. When your bad guy comes into the room and he's trying to be intimidating, and you've got him in like this Dennis the Menace ball cap that looked absolutely terrible, is the most unintimidating. I mean, he wore it even like a little kid, right? Like on the back of his head, he's like
trying to, win her over. He offered her a cigarette. He's obviously trying to do whatever he can.
It was awful.
That's a great line,
Barbarians
too.
here. Get out of here, big nasty animal, you.
It just took, again, it was in this movie, I'm like, why they dress him like
That's
that?
another
He's trying to.
line.
I think Charles is right. He's trying to like ease the tension here.
He's like, nothing like a good smoke when you miss your mom.
Never too young to start.
Never too young to start. I love it. That's such a great line.
He's pulling the
lines are
crayons
good.
out. He's pulling the crayons out. I know
Yeah.
you like to draw.
Yeah.
You know.
His markers, they're probably all dried out at that point.
He's doing good. I mean, he's a good actor.
Then he turns evil when she starts saying like, "Yeah, Costner's going to kick your booty."
Well, I will say this: is Enola is like the world's best hype man of all time, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I want her in my corner.
She spends the entire time she's on that boat letting them know all of the ways they're going to be murdered.
Propaganda. She's freaking him out, man. It's plus it's spooky coming from a little girl. Like,
Right.
This is going on.
He's not afraid of
kills
anything.
everybody.
That's right.
Even little girls.
Right. He's not afraid of anybody. He's way tougher than you. He's going to come back for me. He's going to kill all of you. I'm like, dang, girl.
Yeah, right.
She does, and I love how they're like, she never stops talking to.
Yeah.
Like, she's always talking.
And then the cue the
At the end
one-man
of
army.
That's
here's
right.
the other question I have.
Yeah.
So they're looking at her tattoo in the back.
Right.
And it's pretty flat.
Right.
Like, it doesn't seem too hard to make out.
It really
Like,
isn't.
They're like, if I could stretch it flat, then it would make more sense.
Then I
The
could read
back.
it.
So
How's
they're
it
like,
gonna? You
let's
can't get any
slice it.
flatter than somebody's
Let's
back.
slice it and we can stretch it. And I'm like, I don't think you're going to get a huge advantage.
The
from
last
doing that.
person I would take advice from is a guy smoking a cigarette with an oxygen tank.
Oxygen tank.
My wife's like, that's super dangerous.
I like that guy's character,
But
though,
is
because
an
he was
oxygen
so...
tank even full? That's the whole thing.
I think he just wears it.
I think so.
I don't even.
He was so mellow, that guy was just
I
like...
have unfortunately known some people that needed oxygen and kept smoking.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Well, this brings us to the big speech. So...
He's like, go announce me. And he's like,
Yeah.
he's here, guys. But then he does go on after.
That's
He
what I
goes
mean.
on a little bit. But
That's
he's
why I love that
so,
guy's
like,
character.
chill. Yeah.
He's so
Even when he
just
comes
chill.
back in and he sees Nord is almost going to kill the little girl, he's like, what are you guys doing? If all the bad guys had been like that, I would have been a great, even better. It would have been even better. But yeah, so Deacon comes out to give this big speech and there's surprisingly a lot of people on this boat on the Exxon Valdez.
I always wonder in these movies how those societies function.
Yeah.
They just seem totally crazy chaotic,
Well-
but there's some.
Well, they were
organization.
Spam and cigarettes.
Well,
just throwing
it wasn't
spam
like
and cigarettes.
spam. It was what it's like.
I think it was spam.
Yeah,
It was no, it didn't say
Smeat.
spam. It's smeat. Smeat.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
They couldn't get the
there's
license for
It was
spam.
spam.
Spam
They
was
just
like-
wrapped the
There
spam
is
can with a
some kind
smeat
of-
It looks so
label.
similar.
Yeah.
I think that's why I thought.
Spam knew enough to stay out of the Waterworld game.
You know how much money
some kind
spam
of
could have meant?
control. My wife also noticed lots of kids on the boat.
Yes.
It's kind of weird. Like that line at the beginning with his eye is hilarious. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
kids, it looks like crap. He's
That's
like,
why I love
he looks
Chill
at
Guy.
it. It does look like crap.
And it feels like cold crap.
And you're saying if Spam had gotten on board, they would have made millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
They'd be bigger than McDonald's right now.
They would be.
If Waterworld was the
If McDonald's would started producing toys, I mean, I actually had Waterworld action figures.
I wish there had been more product placement in hilarious ways. Like if they had dove down to a McDonald's.
Why wasn't like RJR Reynolds on this though?
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
whole movie is about smoking cigarettes, and they don't have any. They're all named.
They're all nameless,
There's
right?
no
Yeah.
Marlboro, no.
Maybe
think a
those are
cigarette
too high
packs.
quality.
But this
to
is
last
kind
for
of like
500 years.
in Mad Max Fury Road too, where they gather all these people that you're just like, how are they surviving? And they dump a little bit of water to make them happy, but barely enough for everybody to get some. And then he gives this big speech, right? It's the same thing here. He's throwing all these smokes and
Spams and,
maybe like the first few people in row get it, and then the rest of them just don't get anything.
Don't get anything.
I would not want to be those first few people in row.
Yeah,
You're getting murdered for that
getting
stuff.
murdered for that.
But he gives his great speech, and it's a great performance by the Hopper to get them all fired up. Like, I've seen a vision, like we talked about before. And I had that thought immediately. He was like, now let's get this boat moving. And they all run to their stations in row. And I remember thinking, where? Like, what are you, like, where are we rowing? Where are we going?
That's a great line.
Right. But then he
said
cuts
that.
back to him and he says,
Where are we going,
he answers
boss?
the question.
Doesn't matter.
They'll row for a month before they figure out I'm faking it.
Okay, so the other thing I really like this scene is you've got Hopper's speech
Yeah.
building up the bad guys
Yes.
to go
Yeah.
do their thing. You've
Yeah.
got the girl talking about how awesome the mariner is. He's coming, and then you have him infiltrating the boat, all going on at the same
Water
time.
Costner's climbing
very cool.
the side of the boat.
It's very good movie making, I think.
Only to have to dive back down immediately to kill 2 guys.
Yes.
Yep.
And I would
the
just be
best
like,
way he did it too. He just swooped down
held him.
like I said, it's like Batman, right? Swooped down, pulled them both, held them underwater by their ankles till they were done.
Right.
Yep.
But he should have let one come up and surface so he could say, "Who are you?" "I'm Water Costner."
I think,
and then bring him back down.
and then he's like, "Go slow, horse, go slow, horse." And then guns
he
it.
impales
Now, this is the one part where I think they could have spent a little more money because it is incredibly obvious that is a mannequin
Yes.
standing there, and then he gets squished. But they're like, Kevin, we can't spend any more money.
I like that scene.
Kevin, we're out. A hurricane has destroyed our
We
set.
just went to Montgomery Ward's, got a mannequin, and just goes on the guy.
You got another million Costner for this thing? No, okay.
See, I love that scene. I love we just smashes the guy into the wall.
Like I said,
Yeah.
he's ruthless, murdering guy.
My favorite line, though, in the entire movie comes right as he's walking up the empty deck, and the girl turns and goes, "You guys are in so much trouble." Right? I like that's the best line in the
And
entire
they're all
movie.
terrified too.
Yeah.
Well, the mannequin thing though. This is the other thing I thought about.
Yeah.
I'm like, when did jet skis become Harley Davidsons? Because he's out there revving it. He's like, I'm like, he's like, come in, bring it in easy. He's like, and then like,
just nails the dude. Yeah, and so that whole scene, I think, and Bob, I agree. It culminates in a great final battle.
This is
a great one-man army scene.
This is great.
And my favorite things, I mean, I love action, but when the script really clicks and sings, and even if it's just for a moment, I get goosebumps. I love it. And so that whole scene where she says, "You guys are in so much trouble," and then it goes on. He says, "Why are you doing it?" And he says, "She's my friend." Right. And he says, "I don't think you're going to drop that torch." And he says, "Why not?" And it's the first time in the movie he smirks. He hasn't cracked a smile. That signature Costner smirk, comes out of nowhere. Like, oh, that's why he's a movie star.
Right.
And
he's
he
like,
just,
you don't know me.
Before that, though,
right. He's like, you don't have no idea.
No, before the drop is a great line too. Because they go, he's bluffing, and little girl says, he never bluffs.
That's right.
He's not bluffing.
Right.
She never does stop talking. She never shuts up.
There's like a 10-line sequence there that's like almost like A+ to pull it out of a different movie.
Right.
And it's just perfect, that moment. And it's because that moment works, it almost retroactively makes the entire thing work. Right? Because that is the moment of the movie. And then when he drops that thing,
that's my favorite scene right there, because he just cold-heartedly just drops it and kills every single bad guy,
which is consistent with his character. He doesn't care.
Right.
He doesn't care, and that's how much of an OG he is. He just literally just drops it. I don't care.
And the old man's like, "Oh, thank God."
I really like too the oars flying out when
everything, oars, everybody.
What a great explosion!
Yeah. Oh, it was. That's like one of the best explosions you'll ever see.
Out of the sides up every orifice in that boat had fire.
He's like, I don't care what happens. I'm gonna blow the boat up. And get the girl.
Fine.
Right.
Y'all blew my boat up. I'm gonna blow yours up.
He even jumps back down into the hole to find the way up to the bridge.
Yes.
And you're like, why is he going back to the fire? But he doesn't care.
He's trying to get up to get
the mariner.
And I will. So there are and I will praise this for the most part. But I have to point out a couple of the really dumb things too, because that's how we do it on the show. Right. When he is up on the deck or up on where the guy was giving the speech, and he now sees they're down there getting on the airplane, and he's got this zip line that he's going to create with this harpoon gun. He barely aims. It's like from Monty Python and the Holy Grail when the guy in the tower walks up with a bow and arrow and goes over to the window. It's like thunk, right? You know what I mean? He barely raises it to his chest and just goes like he's not even looking where it's going. And it zooms all the way down and wraps itself around this pole all the way at the other end of the ship. I'm like, bro, you didn't even try and aim that shot.
No.
Like from an acting standpoint.
That's how good he is.
Okay. All right, fine. We'll give him that. Because the shot of him actually going down the zip line with the airplane was amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you notice
That's
the
in the show,
Costner trope in itself? The last Kevin Reynolds movie that he did with the explosion. The explosion in the background.
There's explosions going off. It's Costner on the zip line.
Is the exploding arrow with the scene when he fires the arrow in Robin Hood and the explosion behind him?
Yeah. It's perfect. And it's like,
I love it.
I don't know, he can zip line faster than an airplane, but that's neither here nor there because he passes it.
But Dennis Hopper's driving.
Right.
Well, that was the
You don't think so?
airplane from Iron Eagle. We got to throttle this back so we can get down there on the zip line.
I think realistically, you'd have to lower that in the water.
Yeah.
I don't think you could get it off the boat.
Because it's got the buoys on it. It doesn't even have wheels,
it's
right?
Got floats. I mean, it had wheels, but it would have, floats would. I don't think there's enough runway.
No.
There's not enough runway on the deck of a oil tank.
Apparently, they shot that on a tarmac and dressed it to look like the deck of the Valdez. But that was on the ground, actually, where they filmed that thing. Yeah. And then he leaps up, and he lands, and there's another cable there in a spool that he's able to hook to his... I mean, thank God there was, or I don't know what they would have done. Hooks it to his grapple thing, leaps up and puts it on as the plane is taking off. Incredible.
Crashes.
Rips the legs off the thing and crashes the plane. And he saves the girl. And you're thinking, okay, they're getting away. They're flying away on the hot air balloon, but Deacon jumps on the rope too, and they're both on the rope. He gets knocked off. I think Helen and the girl do it.
Helen throws something, hits him, and then the girl kicks him in the head.
Yeah. So Costner didn't have anything to do with that. But there's two more. They're like, these guys just won't die. There's two more smokers on jet skis. This is my favorite thing that happened from an action standpoint is the bungee jump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, why is the rope bungee?
One, thank you. Next question.
Yeah.
What did he just eyeballs that rope and he's like, that's the right length. Because if it's not, you're going in.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. You got the exact.
I think they pulled on it and they brought him back up.
Oh, they pulled. They didn't even tie it off till he was already there.
Yeah, it was a bungee
They were
rope.
trying to tie it off, and then
It was a bungee rope because he went picked it like right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I was thinking to
back
myself,
up.
would a normal rope bounce like that? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't
A
care.
normal rope,
But
isn't
he
gonna
had
bounce like that.
He had the length just plumbed
That's
perfectly.
one of the
Well, he's a
coolest.
mariner, he knows.
And then I thought, okay, I don't like the way Deacon died.
I was going to say that's one of the
No.
coolest bad guy deaths.
You think that's good?
All right, well then make your case. Why is it one of the coolest bad guy deaths?
It's obnoxious. Nobody, no right-thinking person goes, "Hey guys, let's all go at each other on jet skis."
right.
Because what's the end result? Even
all
if
gonna crash into each other.
Costner doesn't.
Well, and then you had the Die Hard like scene where he's going back up on his bungee rope and
Right.
And they're all
jet
looking,
skis
and then they look down, they're like,
crash into a
crap.
fireball.
I guess maybe they mitigate the issue of they're all looking like, what just happened? And they're not paying attention and they're going to hit each other. But it's still stupid.
It's still
awesome, though.
because even if Costner doesn't bungee jump, you're driving in towards colliding with
But
each
I
other. So.
suppose the way Deacon was, that's maybe appropriate.
Okay. Well, they all survive, and they end up, deciphering the map on her back, and then something about the poles have reversed, and so maps are backwards now, or whatever. At that point, I was like, I don't even care anymore. Just get to dry land.
I just thought he meant you need to look at it upside
No,
down.
they have to have an excuse for why they're all idiots and can't read a map. So this is their excuse. They're like, oh, it's backwards. Okay, fine.
I don't think the poles can reverse.
But
I'm not a scientist.
I don't think the whole world can flood either with the polar ice. I mean, the whole world can flood. It has, but with the polar ice caps either. So I don't know. But the point is, they figure out where they're going. They're like this way, and they fly for what seems like a long time. They're dehydrated. He's literally putting like the last little bit of water on the girl's lips. So I know Everest is far from where they are, but maybe they flew a really long time.
Yeah, they must have.
Right?
Because
Well, it's like every one of these movies. There's no concept of time in them.
No.
I mean, it's just you assume it's a long time. Well, how long, right?
Right. And they get there, but I think it would have been funny, and would have tonally been terrible, but just in my own version of the movie, when that bird lands, they should have all freaked out.
Yeah.
What is a bird?
have they seen birds before?
They would never have seen a bird before. The birds, the bird signifies that there's land, right? You think about the whole Noah thing, right?
That's what I thought. Noah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Didn't have a
for
twig.
them, as soon as this like flying rat or whatever,
Yeah,
like
it's a seagull. It's
all
flying
of them
rat
should
is
have been like,
Seagull appropriate is a flying rat. That's appropriate.
Kill us food.
they should have all freaked out when the horses come riding by. They all should have been like, "What are those?"
Right.
Yeah, horses are scary to begin with, especially
Yeah.
if you've seen them.
Right? But they make it to dry land, and there's fresh water, and there's waterfalls, and this beautiful mountain, which we find out is Everest. And there's horses, and there's all the stuff, and you're like, they are way too calm about most of what they're finding.
Right.
But they do find, so from what I gathered, the two bodies they found were Enola's parents.
Yep.
Yes.
And they must have known they were dying.
Yep.
And so they sent her off like Moses style.
Superman's parents.
Right, like Superman's parents.
Yeah, it was because they must have put her in a boat or something.
Right.
Float her out.
Found her with dirt and a map trying to tell people this is where dry land is.
Oh, is that what they said? They found it with dirt in the beginning?
Yeah, there was. Remember, Helen says we found her with dirt. That's how we know.
Okay.
But Enola's parents must not have counted on no one knowing how to read a map, because I think they wanted people to find it.
Right.
Well, yeah, that was my question too. Is why hadn't anyone found dry land before then?
Again, because in a worldwide sea, and that's the only spot in the entire world, it'd be so hard to randomly come across anything.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many humans are left?
16.
Looks like. After all the smoke.
After all the smokers died, there's 16.
Yeah, all those smokers are literally done.
Yeah. So they essentially find dry land and
went up in smoke.
They did. Right. And Water Costner goes up and he says to the little girl, he says, "I can't be land, Costner. I have to leave." And he
Which
leaves.
I really liked.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting is that ending was super understated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was just like
They go into it more in
She's
the
like,
cut.
I'm home.
Yeah.
They have their conversation.
Yep.
He's out on his.
Yeah.
There
like
happens to be a well-placed boat right there on the
land doesn't move right.
on the
It's just
beach
land
for him.
sickness.
Yeah.
We're all feeling it.
But if he's like a fish man,
Yes, I agree.
I get why he wouldn't want to live there.
And I guess in the longer cut, there's a discussion that he wants to go find more of his people.
Okay.
To tell them about dry land. Like, so the insinuation that he'll be back,
Oh, is that what it was?
right? That he's saying like he wants to tell people
Or
about.
is he just going to go live on the water because he's a fish man?
Can't he just like tie his boat like 100 feet out and like live out there?
No, if he's ichthysapian, he might.
I don't know.
Water.
We'll see.
Humans hadn't treated.
Or we won't see, because there will never be a Waterworld 2, I'm guessing. And that's a shame.
There was a point. Now I've seen this movie a lot, but I don't remember it very well after I watch it because apparently it's probably not that good a movie. But anyways, there's a scene where when Deacon falls in the water, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, were they planning a sequel?" And then he died, and I'm like, "No, I guess not."
No, there wasn't. There will be no sequel to this movie ever. But there should be. But here's a chance, guys. If you have something in your notes, something that you wanted to get to that we didn't have time, I give you a chance now to discuss.
I really love the oars. Sorry,
the little things.
I got too excited.
That's all right. Tell me about the oars. The oars on the Valdez.
The oars on the Valdez were awesome.
Yeah.
Like that concept of like, he hated sails, which they
Right.
never get into, which is weird, but he can do oars.
It's like the guy from Cyborg.
and-
I hate sails. I hate water.
I'm also thinking to myself, with as many barnacles on the bottom of that boat, they need more oars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's no
Much,
way that
much
boat
more.
moves very far.
Right.
My favorite little thing I didn't get to mention was during the battle at the atoll, how across gunfire and ships exploding and 50 cals going off, and across the entire atoll, the water balloons, or the hot air balloon scientist is able to say, "Helen, over here," and she looks up and sees him. "Oh, yes, we'll be right over." Bro, there's no way. There's just no way in that chaos that he hears you scream, "Over here." Anybody else, any little things?
Yeah, the other little thing is, at the end, they're on the top. He's using a microphone.
Yeah.
And it's pretty far down.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner does not raise his voice.
No.
I think there's no way they could have heard him.
So, again, another issue with sound. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else?
My main thing was how long that cage floated in the soup.
Oh, it stayed up for a
Yeah,
long
Yeah,
time.
because the body sank really quick.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a metal cage that is
think about
got slats in it, and it's
So-
not going to float. There's no buoyancy there.
That old lady saved Costner's life. It was resting on her
it
dead
had to have
body.
been- had to have been. She hadn't been fully
She hadn't
recycled
been
yet.
fully I don't know, but I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, he's got a little bit of plot armor, so I think that's why it
Can't
sank
kill
so
the fish man at the beginning of the
low,
movie.
so slowly. The soup
Some
was like,
people
hold on, we got to slow this down, slow it down.
Some people may have preferred that happened, I suppose.
Some people may have, but not Helen.
Be a very different movie.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's get to our awards, as we always do every episode. We give awards to these movies that have likely never been awarded before, especially Waterworld. And we give out 3 awards every episode, and we always start with the Will Patton Award for Intensity, born from the actor himself, Will Patton, who is just the most intense actor that I've ever seen, that no matter if he's playing a scene where he's fighting smokers on the Exxon Valdez or he's having breakfast with his grandmother, he plays it at the same amount of intensity, and that's what we love about him. So this isn't an acting award, but one for intensity. Who gave the most intense performance for you in this movie?
Costner.
Yeah, I had Kevin Costner too.
Yeah.
I mean, man didn't crack a smile until the end.
Until the end, after he just killed 100 people in a boat.
And this might be his most intense performance of his career.
Yeah.
Because even like in The Postman and in some of his other movies, he tends to be a little more, or have moments of levity and a little more lighthearted, but not in this movie at all.
And I think he also, his voice is a little different too.
Yeah. A little bit.
The closest movie that he's done recently to the intensity of Waterworld has been The Highwayman.
The Highwayman was pretty intense in that, and in Let Him Go.
Yeah, and then Let Him Go.
Have you guys seen Let Him Go yet?
No.
It's a new movie he did with Diane Lane, and they're going out trying to get their grandson. And it's really, I won't say any more than that, but and even those listening at home, if you haven't seen Let Him Go, it's a slow burn, more of like a dialogue driven movie, which is great. So don't go in expecting like, giant atolls being jumped by jet skis, but it's really good. So Charles, who was your Will Patton Award winner?
Yeah, I guess it would have to be Costner.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, maybe the Drifter. He's all in on that.
Yeah, that guy was 100% committed to what he was doing. Kim Coates was intense. Yeah. That's not a wrong answer, but I can't argue with that one either.
Well, I didn't even think about that. That's a good one, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, as we've gone through this, I've thought of a couple, right? I mean, I had old Gregor, the kind of mad scientist.
Yeah.
Because I thought he played that.
He did?
Pretty well.
He did?
He did.
Costner for sure. I mean, didn't crack a smile. I thought, like, my other kind of thought was the second Drifter, right? He was just kind of off the wall nuts and
you really believed he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I would actually wanted to, now we think about it, I actually would have wanted Kim Coates to be the main villain as opposed to Hopper.
Maybe he could have been.
Yeah.
Would have been better.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Hopper. I don't want to say that I don't like. He's not getting my trash can full of dirt award.
No.
Or anything like that. I just think maybe it was bad direction. Maybe it was just him not understanding the overall tone. I think it did add some more fun to the movie, but they didn't do that across the boards. It just makes for a mismatch. That's all.
The communication was off. I think when you look at a movie like Waterworld on paper, no pun intended, you're like,
this is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
So I need to play it ridiculous.
So I need to play this absolutely ridiculous. And then,
but he didn't know that Costner was going to play it like it was Cape Fear.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. No, exactly. But I think there's communication between Costner and Reynolds where it's like, what kind of person is
And this is what happens when you write by committee too, because you have the two guys that wrote it and then they brought in more guys and then they rewrote it and they were constantly rewriting it, and that's what you end up with. Yeah. So I'm sorry, who'd you end up going with?
You know what? I think I'll go with old Gregor. I'll go with Michael Jeter.
Okay.
Michael Jeter's
all right, perfect. Then Costner with 2 votes ends up with the Will Patton Award. And now we go to this is an acting award, the Trash Can Full of Dirt Award, which we give out to the actor who gave a performance most resembling a trash can full of dirt.
Nord
is mine too. Gerard Murphy. Maybe he wasn't the worst actor in the movie, but I hated him so much.
How much hairspray do you use?
And I didn't even hate him because of his, like sometimes it's good if a bad guy makes you hate him and not, but it wasn't even that. I just hated his face and his stupid haircut.
Oh, man.
And his dumb haircut and every acting decision he made.
If you're watching this, he loves you.
All right.
I had him too.
Did you? Okay.
I didn't know his name. I called him long-haired blonde henchman.
Yeah, that guy. That guy. Gerard Murphy.
I kind of had pick a smoker, but let's go with him.
Actually, I also had any of the townspeople at the atoll.
Oh, yeah.
They were all pretty bad.
Yeah.
Who played the sheriff? That guy looks so familiar. Does anybody know who played the sheriff?
I don't know who played the sheriff, but the guy that played the dude where he says, after they offer the daughter, and he's like, no, thank you, I don't want to sleep with her. And he signals the one dude, don't let him get on.
Yeah.
The black guy that comes over and says, you don't leave till I tell you can leave. And then he's actually one of the survivors at the end when they're all on 3 boats roped together.
Yeah.
That's the guy from Ghost that kills Patrick Swayze in that movie. The street guy that's hired by his friend or
I
whatever.
didn't like that actor. That was weird. Seemed a weird cast.
It was, but that was the same. I'm just saying that was another one of those dudes that's in the movie. You're like, where do I know that guy from?
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so Gerard Murphy, a unanimous and well-earned Trash Can Full of Dirt Award. And then we give our top 3 performances here. And, this is more of a personal preference, so there's no right or wrong answer. This is just who you enjoyed the most, who you felt gave the best performance, who was the most believable or committed to their role. For me, I thought that the trio of the boat trio was the top 3 performers in the movie. And the order that I thought they performed in is maybe a little bit unexpected. I thought Tina Majorino as Enola did great. She was my number 3, but then I had Kevin Costner at 2 and Jean Triplehorn at number 1.
Really?
I thought Costner is great in this movie. Okay. He carries it. He plays it very well. He's super intense, but I don't know that what he had to do from an acting standpoint was super difficult. Just be kind of stoic the whole time. Yeah. There was a couple of scenes, and there was one specifically that I want to mention that was the best acted moment from him in the entire movie is when he says, "You really want to see dry land, right? I'll take it." Right before he's about to dive with her, you can see the resignation and the exhaustion and the way he delivers that whole little sequence there when they have their short argument about dry land and then, "Do you really want to see it? I'll take you to see it right now." Maybe some of his best acting he's ever done, but that was just in that one scene. She had kind of a thankless job as far as all of the different things and ways she had to play those different scenes. I thought she did really, really well from an act. So for me, all 3 of them are great. I'm not, lowering the other 2, but she did the best acting job. Who are your top 3?
I would say Jean Triplehorn, Kevin Costner, and the Trimaran.
The Trimaran was number 1. Man, I want one of those. Apparently it got auctioned off. So some guy bought it. And then they went bankrupt, and then the state or the country, wherever he was, they auctioned it off, and who knows who has it now. But it's out there somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That boat.
And he sailed it apparently for 3 weeks before the movie just so he could.
So it seemed used. Yeah.
It did raise a question in my mind. Did it do all the stuff it did for real, or was it?
I'm sure there was different models of it. I'm sure there was,
functional ones and the ones for specific shots. Yeah.
Right. Like how many sharks did they have on Jaws?
All right, Charles, who were your top 3?
Okay, so I'm going to put Costner at 3.
Okay.
The Enola at 2.
Okay.
And Dennis Hopper at 1. I love Dennis Hopper in this movie. He's so great.
He is good.
His lines are funny. He's having a good time. He seems like
There's
crazy
a very
leader.
nice.
I have nothing bad to say
right here before you decide to jump across.
I have nothing bad to say. This is not like the time Kurt picked Andy Griffith,
in Spy Hard.
in Spy Hard.
That was a good performance.
Shut your mouth. Okay, I got nothing bad to say. All right, sorry, go ahead. Ryan, who you got?
So I have Dennis Hopper at 3.
Okay.
Jean Triplehorn at 2 and Costner at 1. And I would say that I have Tina Majorino probably at 4.
Sure.
I mean, as far as child actors go, I think, you've talked about the Jake Lloyd effect. I think she certainly overcomes that.
Yes.
I thought she was pretty good for a child actor. And she was only like 10, I think, in this movie. So
she was great. And she did like 3 movies that year. She was working a lot. She did
I would say maybe she's more like 3B to 3B. Hopper's 3A because I like Charles. I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Even though it was kind of maybe a little bit out of place, I think it just brought some levity to Costner's stoic character.
I agree, but now imagine this. Oh, you have something to add?
Well, the thing about him is I did not think what was the movie? Oh, Chappie, Iron Eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He chewed those scenes, right?
Yeah.
Hopper doesn't chew these scenes, I don't think. He plays them like
for the most part.
Like who he's supposed to be, right? But he also is very much Dennis Hopper. So I will give him credit.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not like he stretched himself per se. But I think it fit well and he was just there was a craziness to him that was scary but also entertaining.
All right, but now imagine that the Deacon is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And how much better this movie would have been.
He couldn't do it.
You don't think he could have been the... Why wouldn't he been... The man was the greatest villain in cinematic history.
No, here's why.
He was Mr. Freeze.
Look, these people are called... They're called the Smokers.
Okay.
They worship a guy of the Captain of Valdez.
Okay.
They don't like sales.
I'm waiting for the part that Arnold couldn't do.
He's the only one that can do that believable.
Why?
Because
that was so specific that Hopper's the only one that can leave.
He's so crazy.
No, you know why? You know what works
that weird
with
mania he's got going on.
Probably not the Deacon because Arnold's not going to do that Southern like George W. Bush accent that Hopper
it'd be different. It'd be different.
There's no way. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I would put Arnold in as Nord.
Nord, absolutely, he could play Nord.
No, here's how. Arnold could never deliver this line. If you'll notice the arterial nature of the blood coming from the hole in my head, you can assume that we're all having a bad day.
Yeah.
Okay, look,
And
it goes without
even
saying.
do it anywhere close as well as Hopper does that.
It goes without saying that the script would have to change. That's
I
what
don't
they
want the
did.
script to change. I like.
He's got a good point. Dennis
Right.
Hopper does own Deacon.
Yeah.
It would be better if Arnold was Deacon.
How about Arnold
I think
playing
Arnold is
like
Nord
the
when he's-
Messiah?
As the Nord.
You know, I had a thought
the
about
Mount
Nord.
Everest Island.
I had thought about why we don't like Nord.
Yeah.
I think Nord was stuck in the middle of your two movies.
Yeah, he kind of was.
Because you got Serious Costner, you got kind of whatever you call
Yeah.
Deacon, and then he's kind of this middle ground of bad, funny.
He's like
true.
the bad guy. Hopper's trying to be like the good
Yeah.
bad guy.
And so he didn't know how to act that role.
I agree, and I don't think Arnold could have played Water Arnold because I think that would have changed the movie too much.
Yeah.
Because you've got to change it. So anytime you put Arnold in, you got to change it a little bit to fit his
Too heavy,
strengths.
he'd fall through the nets.
Right? He doesn't float. This is why Arnold wouldn't work. Arnold doesn't float. But I definitely think almost any other part, even as Helen, he would have been better. So
How about his
Definitely
Costner's
is a little
first
girl.
mate?
all right, guys. So this movie has gotten a bad rap for over 20 years. People have dragged it through the mud. Other people have extolled its virtues and held it up as something that should be more appreciated than it is. And so after going through it, talking through it, considering the performances, the writing, all of that stuff, we are going to make a final determination. Certainly not definitive, as there'll be other opinions out there, but at least for us. Is this, as you watch it now, would you consider it to be a bad movie, full stop? Would you consider it to be a bad movie that rules and is still fun? Or is it straight up a good movie? And we'll start with Ryan and we'll go around.
You know, I would put this in the good movie category for me.
Okay.
I mean, it's something I would absolutely watch again. I think it held up, even though I had like a 20 plus year hiatus from when I last saw it. I kind of went back, held up back to what I remembered it holding up to be. I think it's pretty good.
Perfect.
It's a good movie. And it's
Straight up.
better with age.
Better with age, like a fine wine.
Yes.
Like a wine bottle they found encrusted on the floor of the
Get away
sea.
from all the negativity
Like that Jack Daniels the smokers were drinking.
that he smashed one out for St. Joe.
For St. Joe.
It's because there was so much negative stuff initially. It never really had a fair shake.
It didn't. The press.
I mean, I'm not
the
saying
press had
this
it out.
is like this is certainly not Academy. This is just a fun, good
Yeah,
movie to
right,
watch.
right.
You saw this on TV, you'd be like, I'm going to stop and watch a little bit. Of
Absolutely.
this. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Bob?
I would say this is a great movie. It's not a bad movie that rules. It's a full-fledged great movie, and for me, like the ending is what makes it a great movie because I've seen very good. This is where my hate mail comes from. I've seen Academy Award-winning movies with the worst garbage ending on God's green
Like
earth.
Oh, yeah.
Titanic.
Oh, sure.
Like Titanic.
And for some reason, these no talent B clowns get these awards because this movie was so great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Waterworld had the coolest ending and made the movie a great movie. The beginning of the movie is good. Yeah, there's a little problems here and there. Some floaters. There's some floaties, you know. But then once that ending sequence kicks in, it's great.
It is time to put some respect on Waterworld.
Yes, put some
That's right.
respect.
All the people out there for so many years. This is straight up a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's not a bad movie
No,
that
it's
rules.
not at all.
No.
It's not a bad movie. It's so well made. The craftsmanship that went into it, the work, the epicness, the scale. You don't get this from these CGI fests today.
No.
They're still trying to figure out how to recreate how that kind of look and feel of real sets. They still quite haven't gotten that thing where the eye can almost always tell.
Right.
It's just something not tangible about it, right?
Yep.
This movie is awesome.
Yes.
It's not an Oscar winner, like you said. It's not going to win any acting awards or be Best Picture over whatever else was Best Picture in 95. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it is you cannot sit here and say this is a bad movie.
It's not. It's impossible.
Too many
Where-
people did too much good work.
Where in this movie, other than the beginning, had a little, like I said, little issues here and there. Where in this movie could you find like, wow, this movie's bad?
No, I mean, every movie has its problems, and we talked about some of them.
But can you name something that you can really?
But
find?
every movie, you're going to find some problems.
You can
and
nitpick anything.
You can
but
nitpick anything.
Is there anything on this movie that you can literally stands out and be like, wow,
This ruins it. It's trash.
Right.
No, absolutely
There's nothing.
The performances win over any perceived issues with the movie, or won over by performance and the heart of the relationships of the people that are in it,
the chemistry between all the actors,
and then what the director was able to pull off.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just the shots were great. The sets were great.
It's better than Postman.
It's better than Postman.
I would have to agree. By a small
margin. I'm not going that far.
By a small margin. By a small margin.
I think Postman would have benefited from a little more editing.
I would say...
But
so could have Waterworld. I mean, it definitely could have been...
I would say Postman's an 8, Waterworld's an 8.2. By a small margin.
No. Listen, here's why. Here's why. I know we got to go because we're already well over our time.
Because Waterworld doesn't have Will Patton.
Thank you. You knew exactly what I was going to say.
That is why. It's because it awards after the
If they're both the best movie, if they're both equally good, this one's gonna nudge it because Will Patton.
Will Patton as the villain, I would say,
way better than Hopper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Costner make the sequel to Waterworld
with Will Patton.
With Will Patton.
Greatest movie ever made. Greatest movie ever.
Here's the cast for Waterworld
made.
Kevin Costner, Will Patton,
and bring Olivia Williams back.
Val Kilmer.
All right, so look, guys, we have to go. We appreciate that you've been here listening with us. This is we're doing Waterworld, so that's why it's a longer episode. It was a longer movie. We appreciate that you've been around for this entire ride. Thank you for listening. As always, we will be back next Friday, as we are every morning, with a brand new episode. And I would tell you what that is, but I can't remember because all I can think about is Dennis Hopper and Waterworld, and my brain is clogged. And so I apologize that I can't give you the next movie because we don't have that information in front of us. Right, I got to go back and look at the tape. Now I sound like a football coach. But whatever it is, join us. It's going to be fun. We'll put it out on our Facebook page, so you can find it there. We'll put it out a day before on our TikTok at Bad Movies Rule. There's all kinds of ways to interact and find us online. We'll get you into that information. But in the meantime, for Bob Hauser, Charles Hewitt, and Ryan Mueller, I'm James Hauser. Thank you for listening. I think this is as long as our Time Cop episode, which was almost 2 hours also.
I think it's just funny because your Postman episode is like an hour and 10 minutes. And that was
because I edited it down.
Yeah. We were here for a long time.
This will be cut down too.
No, don't cut it.